Chapter 763. Ah. It really is Lord True Dragon. Even though the old doctor didn't like the Dragon Clan, the 4 great dragon clans were all mixed breed. None of them were complete dragons. Yao worshipped true dragons, not dragons with impure bloodlines. When Dragon Ting appeared, the old physician quickly stood up and was about to kneel. No need, no need. I don't need such etiquette. Dragon Ting shook its head and stood on Mu Yu's shoulder. The old physician looked at Dragon Ting in awe. He finally believed Mu Yu's words. Anyway, it's important to keep Dragon Ting a secret. It's not that I don't trust the Yao in the Valley of Dawn, but there are too many people and it's too easy to spill the beans. So, please don't tell anyone, Mu Yu said seriously. Don't worry, Mu Yu. I'll keep Lord True Dragon's identity a secret. The True Dragon is the faith of all the demon clans. Although the Dragon Clan is usually arrogant, they have not been recognized by Ancestor Azure Dragon, so they cannot be recognized by us. We only recognize the True Dragon. The old doctor said solemnly. Dragon Ting raised its head proudly and said, I also look down on hybrids. Come on, there are a lot of demons among the mixed blood dragons who are many times stronger than you. You're a purebred, so you're just a flower vase, Little Handsome mocked. Tui, what flower vase? I haven't grown up yet, Dragon Ting said indignantly. By the time you've grown up, the flowers will have withered and then withered again, Little Handsome said disdainfully. Mu Yu was helpless. Dragon Ting seemed to have been born a long time ago, but its growth was too slow. It was as if the heavens had given it a unique racial advantage, but it also limited its growth. If he wanted to make Dragon Ting stronger, Mu Yu would have to wait until the Azure Dragon King returned. The Jade Serpent won't give up so easily. To prevent the dragons from sneaking into the Valley of Dawn again, I hope you can help me in the next few days by commanding the beasts in the Valley of Dawn to guard the place, Mu Yu said. After all, this was the Valley of Dawn. The old physician's influence in the Valley of Dawn was much stronger than Mu Yu's. Therefore, he needed the old physician's cooperation to command all the Yao clansmen on how to defend the Valley of Dawn. Little friend Mu Yu, just tell me what you want to do. I will arrange for everyone to do it. The old doctor also knew that this matter could not be taken lightly. Then I'll need you to tell me the layout of the Valley of Dawn in detail. You have to tell me where I can enter and leave as I please. You can't leave any blind spots. I'll need to set up a defensive formation to prevent people like Brother Jiao, and Brother Jiao from sneaking in and causing trouble, Mu Yu said. Mu Yu estimated that Jade Jiao Dragon would pay a price for the antidote of the Desolate Ruins poison. At the very least, he would be able to buy himself a few days to prepare. Not a problem, the old doctor agreed. Over the next few days, Mu Yu and everyone in the Valley of Dawn began to get busy. Under Mu Yu's command, they set up guards at the various forts in the Valley of Dawn, preventing the dragons from entering and leaving the Valley of Dawn as they pleased. Mu Yu and Xiao Shui also used the nearby trees and streams to form an invisible barrier. They also set up many powerful and effective spirit arrays within it. The Luan Feng Demon King had left behind many precious treasures. Many of them were used by Mu Yu as the foundations of the formations. They surrounded the entire Valley of Dawn. There was only one path left for the Yao clansmen to enter and leave the Valley of Dawn. The path was guarded by the residents of the Valley of Dawn in shift. The old doctor played a decisive role in this. Since the Luan Feng Demon King was not around, the people of the Valley of Dawn only listened to his orders. With the old doctor's help, the Valley of Dawn was soon turned into a place that was easy to defend and difficult to attack. If the Jade Jiao Dragon wants to break in, will these defensive measures work? Xiao Shui checked the entire Valley of Dawn to make sure there were no loopholes, but she was still unsure. We won't be able to stop it if it tries to force its way in, but it won't be able to sneak in without making a sound. I can guarantee that, Mu Yu said confidently. If it wants to break in and kill people, why would it need to do it without making a sound? Can't it just roar and charge in? Dragon Ting asked in confusion. It won't happen. The 4 dragon tribes are fighting both openly and covertly. They all want to take down the other 3 factions. If the Jade Jiao dragon tries to attack the Valley of Dawn by force and blatantly kills its people, the other dragons will definitely take the opportunity to drag it down with them, Mu Yu explained. The Valley of Dawn was the Luan Feng Demon King's territory. It was impossible to hide the fact that the Jade Jiao dragon dared to attack the Valley of Dawn. If the other 3 dragon tribes reported the incident to the Luan Feng Demon King, the Jade Jiao dragon would not be able to withstand the Luan Feng Demon King's wrath. That's right. We're just trying to stop the Jade Jiao dragon's minions from sneaking in and playing tricks on us. You're so stupid, big earthworm, Xiao Shui said. You're right, but have you thought about it? The Jade Jiao dragon won't attack the people of the Valley of Dawn, but it will come to the Valley of Dawn to capture you in the name of avenging its son. What will you do then? Xiao Shui asked worriedly. Capture me? If it dares to capture me openly, it's hard to say who will be the one to kill whom. A murderous glint flashed across Mu Yu's eyes. He had the power of slaughter, so he would not be at a disadvantage in a real fight. However, the power would affect Mu Yu, so Mu Yu would not use it unless it was absolutely necessary. I really hope it dies from the poison. That would be the end of it, Dragon Ting harumphed. Mu Yu did not expect the Jade Jiao dragon to be killed by the desolate ruin poison. After all, it was a tribulation passing realm cultivator, so it would not die that easily. However, after their last battle, Mu Yu at least knew what the Jade Jiao dragon was most afraid of. It's a pity that the plants at the edge of the desolate ruin can't be used casually outside. Otherwise, I'd definitely teach it a lesson. Mu Yu was quite disappointed. Not long after the plants at the edge of the desolate ruin left the desolate ruin, the poisonous mist would be released from the plant. It could not be maintained for long. If the poisonous mist leaked out, it might harm the people of the Valley of Dawn. If that happened, Old Man Tian would lose a lot of blood. Therefore, after much consideration, Mu Yu decided not to use the desolate ruin poison. After making the necessary preparations for the Valley of Dawn, Mu Yu began to cultivate for real. His cultivation was improving rapidly, but it was still far from enough with his current strength. In a few months, the cultivation world would usher in the final ranking of the Supreme Immortal Leaderboard. In order to disrupt the Third Palace's plan, Mu Yu had to become one of the top 9 Supreme Immortals. However, the information about those who were ranked at the top of the Supreme Immortal Leaderboard was very secretive. The outside world did not know who they were at all. They only knew their names. Mu Yu guessed that most of these people were from the Shadow Men tribe or his own people from the Third Palace. He had to be prepared. For 7 consecutive days, the Valley of Dawn was peaceful. The people of the demonic tribe lived their lives as usual. There was still no movement from the Jade Jiao dragon. Mu Yu guessed that the Jade Jiao dragon was still entangled with the desolate ruin poison. However, on the 8th day, the demonic tribe guarding the Valley of Dawn came to report in a panic that the Jade Jiao dragon had brought a large group of people to capture Mu Yu. So it's finally here? Mu Yu was not very flustered. The Jade Jiao dragon must have sent many of his minions to infiltrate the Valley of Dawn. However, they probably did not succeed. That was why the Jade Jiao dragon decided to take action personally. However, this was the territory of the Luan Phoenix demonic tribe after all. He did not dare to be too obvious. Therefore, he sent someone in to report. Mu Yu and Xiao Shui looked at each other, then left the Valley of Dawn and went outside. There were about 100 people outside the Valley of Dawn. All of them were dragon tribe members. The Jade Jiao dragon stood in front of the demonic tribe members. The aura it exuded frightened the people of the Valley of Dawn. The old physician had already received the news and was confronting the Jade Jiao dragon outside. Jade Jiao dragon, why are you here today? The old physician was not intimidated by the Jade Jiao dragon's aura. The Jade Jiao dragon had secretly sent people to capture him before. However, things were different now. The Jade Jiao dragon would not dare to do anything to the old physician in the Valley of Dawn's territory. The Jade Jiao dragon sneered. I'm here today to capture a human for the demonic tribe. Old physician, the Valley of Dawn is harboring a human. How should you be punished? Mu Yu is a guest invited by the Patriarch of Yujiang. He's also the human who helped the White Azure Ape Patriarch and Yujiang Patriarch break free from the seal. Aren't you afraid that the Patriarchs will blame you for coming here to capture him? The Jade Jiao dragon's face twitched. It did not dare to provoke the Demon King's majesty. However, it had already prepared an excuse. Old physician, the White Azure Ape Patriarch and Yujiang Patriarch did say that a human helped them, but we've never seen this human. You said that the human is a guest invited by the Demon King, so he's the one? Who knows if he's a fake? Xiao Shui was there twice when the Demon King Patriarch was rescued. How could she have mistaken him for someone else? The old physician said coldly. The Jade Jiao dragon's eyes flashed with hatred. I heard that this person named Mu Yu has many tricks up his sleeve. He's also a formation master. Xiao Shui is still young and easily deceived. For the safety of the demonic tribe members, I must take Mu Yu back and guard him until the Patriarchs return. If the Patriarchs are right, I'll let him go then. The Jade Jiao dragon's excuse was all right. He only wanted to guard the person personally and did not show any intention of killing, so no one could refute it. Uncle Jiao Dragon, I don't think it's necessary to capture him. I can still tell who's good and who's bad. Xiao Shui and Mu Yu flew out of the valley and landed next to the old physician. The Jade Jiao dragon's eyes flashed with hatred when it saw Mu Yu next to Xiao Shui. It's not up to you to decide if he's the one who helped the Patriarchs. However, I know that this person killed my son, so I must take him back today. If you try to stop me, don't blame me for being rude, the Jade Jiao dragon said coldly. Mu Yu walked out and looked at the Jade Jiao dragon from head to toe. Suddenly, he was surprised. Jade Jiao dragon, has the desolate ruins poison been removed from your body? Chapter 764. Mu Yu was surprised to see that Jade Jiao dragon showed no signs of being poisoned. However, Mu Yu soon understood what was going on. Damn you! Jade Jiao dragon's face was filled with murderous intent. He was furious when he recalled what happened a few days ago. Let me guess. It's impossible for you to figure out how to detoxify the poison. However, you're completely detoxified now. So, there's only one possibility. Mu Yu nodded thoughtfully. Forcing the poison to a certain part of your body and then cutting it off is the only way you know how to detoxify the poison. But your hands and feet are still intact, so where did you cut off? Xiao Shui suddenly stared at the middle of Jade Jiao dragon's legs and said without hesitation. He didn't cut off his manly symbol, did he? Hearing Xiao Shui's words, the members of the Yao clan showed a strange expression. They wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Jade Jiao dragon had been poisoned for so many years because he didn't want to cut off an arm or a leg. With the arrogance of the dragon clan, how could he be a majestic true dragon if he lost his limbs? However, now that the poison in Jade Jiao dragon's body was detoxified, he must have used an extreme method. It was possible that he did that to maintain his image. Say that again. Jade Jiao dragon was filled with anger. Xiao Shui's words made him even more crazy. He suddenly grabbed at Mu Yu. Mu Yu's eyes turned cold. He was already holding the shadow clone sword in his hand. Facing Jade Jiao dragon who was in the tribulation realm, he had to borrow Mu Ling's killing power. However, at this moment, a loud voice suddenly came from afar. It's so lively here. A middle-aged man in a luxurious black robe walked over with laughter. His face was dark, but he looked dignified and had the demeanor of a king. However, there was a hint of viciousness between his eyebrows. The strangest thing was that the man had a bright smile on his face, but there was no smile in his eyes. Hey Hulong, what are you doing here? Jade Jiao Dragon stopped and glared at Hey Hulong. His face twisted. The hidden forest Black Tiger Dragon was one of the 4 great dragon clans and was the sworn enemy of the Jade Flood Dragon. Back then, it was Hey Hulong's scheme that caused Jade WRM to be poisoned by the desolate ruins. Therefore, when Jade WRM saw Hey Hulong, it was easy to imagine the hatred in its heart. Brother Yu Jiao, you've mustered so many people to cause trouble in Dawn Valley. If Luan Feng finds out, she won't let you off. I don't think your North Shore Abyss can afford to lose any more members, right? Hey Hulong still had a smile on his face. He looked at the Jade Serpent with a mocking gaze. What do you mean? The Jade Serpent Dragon gnashed its teeth in hatred. Its killing intent was on full display, but it held back and did not attack. If they were to really fight, he wasn't confident that he could win against Hey Hulong. Moreover, he had come here today to capture Mu Yu for the Dragon Vine. He couldn't let Hey Hulong reap the benefit. 2 days ago, I heard that your subordinates, Jiao Guanwen and Jiao Dalong, had both lost an arm. Jiao Dahu's whereabouts were also unknown. As for Xing Yun's death, as his uncle, I was even more heartbroken. Your North Shore Abyss is really plagued with misfortunes. Hey Hulong pretended to be sorry. Long Xingyun had 9th-level true dragon bloodline. He was the one most likely to become a true dragon among the 4 major dragon tribes. He was also a thorn in the side of the other dragons. The Jade Serpent Dragon didn't want to let Long Xingyun out of its sight. However, the White Ape Demon King insisted that Long Xingyun go out to train. The White Ape Demon King believed that the current Fae were too delicate and inexperienced. They needed to go through more hardships before they could compete with the humans in the future. The Jade Serpent Dragon didn't dare to disobey the White Ape Demon King. Therefore, it sent Long Yeli with him. However, who would have thought that Long Xingyun would die after going out to train? The Jade Serpent Dragon was furious about Long Xingyun's death. However, it didn't dare to reprimand the White Ape Demon King. Therefore, it vented its anger on Mu Yu. The Purple Bolt-Winged Dragon and the Hidden Forest Black Tiger Dragon were secretly happy. After all, they had one less big problem. The Jade Serpent Dragon said coldly, Hey Hulong, you don't have to worry about this. There are countless capable people in the North Shore Abyss. I'm here today to catch a human spy who has infiltrated our Fae territory. If you know what's good for you, don't stand in my way. Hey Hulong laughed. Brother Jade Serpent, please don't be angry. You said that you came to Dawn Valley today to catch a spy who has infiltrated our Fae territory. However, I heard that our young friend Mu Yu is the benefactor who saved the Yujiang Patriarch and the White Ape Demon King. If you treat our young friend Mu Yu like this, I'm afraid you won't just offend the Luan Phoenix Patriarch. Hey Hulong's words made the Jade Serpent Dragon even angrier. Of course, he knew about the relationship between Mu Yu, the White Ape Demon King, and the Siren King. However, he pretended not to know that today to denounce Mu Yu. If Hey Hulong didn't intervene, the Jade Serpent Dragon would have killed Mu Yu without mercy. When the Demon King investigated, the Jade Serpent Dragon could say that he didn't know Mu Yu's identity and mistakenly killed Mu Yu as a spy. Moreover, the dragon vines would have been in his hands by then. However, now that Hey Hulong was here, things would be tricky. Hey Hulong would definitely obstruct the Jade Serpent Dragon. It would be impossible for the Jade Serpent Dragon to monopolize the dragon vines. The White Ape Demon King and the Yujiang Patriarch were indeed saved by a young human, but none of us have seen him. How can you be so sure that he's Mu Yu? I think he's a spy. We must catch him and interrogate him. The Jade Serpent Dragon snorted. I didn't expect you to not even believe Qiao Shue's words. Then, do you believe this person's words? Hey Hulong smiled and looked into the distance. Then, a person flew to Hey Hulong's side in fear. It was Long Yeli. Isn't Long Yeli from Long Xingyun? Why is he with He Hulong? Mu Yu asked in surprise. Qiao Shui shook her head in confusion. She looked at Long Yeli with a trace of pity in her eyes. At this moment, Long Yeli was in a very miserable state. Shocking wounds could be faintly seen on his body, and even one of his arms and legs had been broken. His aura was extremely weak, and he had suffered great injuries. Long Yeli, you're still alive? Didn't I ask you to be buried with my son? The Jade Serpent Dragon was furious. A terrifying aura turned into a sharp blade and rushed toward Long Yeli. Long Yeli took a step back in horror. However, He Hulong shielded Long Yeli behind him and neutralized the Jade Serpent Dragon's attack. Jade Serpent Dragon, I didn't expect you to still be so bloodthirsty after so many years. Long Yeli has already told me how Xingyun died, but you want to kill him to silence him. You are really muddle-headed. He Hulong shook his head and said, Long Yeli didn't protect my son well. He deserved to die. The Jade Serpent Dragon said angrily. After learning the news of his son's death, the Jade Serpent Dragon was furious and questioned Long Yeli about what had happened. Long Yeli told the whole story to the Jade Serpent Dragon. However, the Jade Serpent Dragon didn't believe Long Yeli at all. He had been looking for someone to take responsibility for his son's death. In order to protect himself, Long Yeli could only lie that Long Xingyun's death had something to do with Mu Yu. But even so, the Jade Serpent Dragon didn't let Long Yeli go. He wanted to kill Long Yeli for failing to protect his son. Unexpectedly, Long Yeli was still alive and was rescued by He Hulong. Jade Flood Dragon, Patriarch Azure Dragon said that we demons should unite as one. Long Yeli was also at the body integration stage and was one of the few powerful demons in the demon race. You killed him so casually. That's child's play. Long Yeli, tell everyone the truth about how Xingyun died back then. With me here today, no one will be able to kill you. He Hulong patted Long Yeli's shoulder with a hypocritical look on his face. Just as Long Yeli was about to speak, another figure suddenly floated over, leaving behind a few loud laughs in the air. Ha ha! The Valley of Dawn is unprecedentedly lively today. Brother He Hulong, you're treating me as an outsider. If you want Long Yeli to tell the truth, you didn't wait for me. A man in a purple robe landed near He Hulong in a flash. He had an imposing appearance and a calm expression. Every movement he made exuded a dignified aura. He looked younger than Yu Jiaolong and He Hulong, but his aura did not belong to the two of them at all. He was one of the 4 dragon clans, the Purple Electric Wing Dragon. Ha ha! What are you saying, Brother Flying Wing? Aren't you here now? He Hulong was not surprised at all by the Purple Lightning Flying Wing Dragon's arrival. It would be strange if the Purple Lightning Flying Wing Dragon didn't show up today. He Hulong looked around. Sure enough, another figure appeared in the distance. You're all gathered here without informing me. That's not very good, is it? A woman in a yellow veil walked over leisurely from afar. Every step she took caused a faint ripple to appear in the air. She had only taken 2 steps, but she had already arrived beside the Jade Wyrm in the blink of an eye. This woman had a cold and beautiful appearance. She appeared to be in her 30s. She was dignified and elegant, but her eyes swept over Long Yeli with hostility. She then turned to the demon clan members of the Valley of Dawn before finally settling on Mu Yu. Killing intent flashed in the yellow-clothed woman's eyes. She was the leader of the demonic dragon pythons, Long Keshuang. Although she looked young, she was actually the oldest among the 4. She was decisive and ruthless. Compared to the other 3 leaders of the dragon clan, she was not inferior at all. Long Keshuang's sister was married to the Jade Serpent Dragon. Therefore, the Jade Serpent Dragon was Long Keshuang's brother-in-law. The North Shore Abyss and the demonic dragon pythons were in an alliance. Among the 4, Long Keshuang was the oldest, followed by He Hulong, the Jade Serpent Dragon, and finally the Flying Wing Dragon. They're really giving me face today. All 4 dragon clans are here. Mu Yu smiled. You can still smile at a time like this? Xiao Shui was worried. If the 4 dragon clans were to attack Mu Yu, it would be difficult to deal with them today. Don't worry. Since they're not here in an alliance, we have nothing to worry about. On the contrary, we can watch a good show. Mu Yu said. These 4 demon clans were not easy to deal with. They were always scheming against each other. Although they did not seem to have any great enmity with each other, it was obvious that although they were polite on the surface, they were actually more ruthless than anyone else in the dark. Today, the leaders of the 4 dragon clans had all come here with their own ulterior motive. To put it bluntly, they were all here for him. Since Long Yeli had sided with the Hei Hulong and told him everything, he was afraid that the matter of the dragon vine had already been leaked to the Hei Hulong. As for the purple electric flying wing dragon, he should have also received some news. Even if he did not know, he was already here. And there was only one dragon vine. All 4 dragon clans wanted it. Who would it belong to? Whoever made a move on the dragon vine first would become the scapegoat. When the Azure Dragon Monster King came back to pursue the matter, the other 3 would push all the blame to the one who made the first move. The gun would hit the bird that sticks out. The 4 patriarchs definitely knew this principle. Long Yeli, what truth did you want to say just now? You can say it now. Long Kershuang looked at Long Yeli. Long Yeli shuddered. This woman was able to become the leader of the demonic dragon python. How could she be easy to deal with? I. Long Yeli was so scared that his face turned ashen. It's fine, Long Yeli. Be bold and tell us how Long Xingyun got into trouble. We all watched Long Xingyun grow up. We can't bear to see him die so young. Don't you all agree? The Hei Hulong said in a clear voice. That's right. With brother Hei Hulong here, Long Yeli, are you still afraid that someone will kill you to silence you? The purple electric flying winged dragon said indifferently. The matter is like this. Back then, because young Master Xingyun was disrespectful to Lord Sea Demon King, Long Yeli hesitated for a moment. In the end, he decided to throw caution to the wind. He told them everything that happened on the Demon Island, including how Long Xingyun was captured by the people from the Gate of Hell and how he surrendered to the people from the Gate of Hell. In the end, he chose to occupy the body of the Sea Demon King in order to survive. So nephew Xingyun even dared to lay his hands on the Sea Demon King? The Hei Hulong pretended to be surprised. Long Yeli, how dare you speak nonsense? How could Xingyun do such a thing to Yu Jiang's ancestor? Today, I must get rid of you who is full of nonsense and shirking responsibility. The Jade Flood Dragon said angrily. If what Long Yeli said was true, then everyone would know that Long Xingyun deserved to die. After his son died, he would be despised by all the demon clansmen. It might even implicate him. How could the Jade Flood Dragon let that happen? The Hei Hulong shook his head regretfully. However, his eyes revealed the craftiness of an old fox. He had always wanted to take down the Jade Flood Dragon. Now was the best time to hit the Jade Flood Dragon when he was down. This was also the reason why he brought Long Yeli here today. Everything this subordinate said is true. If you don't believe me, you can ask Xiao Shui. She was also there. She knows everything. Long Yeli said anxiously. Chapter 765. However, Xiao Shui said seriously, Long Yeli is right. Long Xingyun brought this upon himself. He was afraid of death and almost ruined everything. Long Kershuang stopped smiling and stared at Xiao Shui. Xiao Shui, I always thought you were a smart girl. Why are you spouting nonsense today? Have you been bewitched by that human brat? Whether it's true or false, you can wait for Yu Jiang's ancestor to return and ask him yourself. Yu Jiang's ancestor has probably told Grandpa Azure Dragon everything clearly. Could it be that you dare to question Yu Jiang's ancestor? Xiao Shui was not afraid of Long Kershuang's threat. She pushed the matter to the Sea Goblin King. If they had a problem, they could go to the Sea Goblin King. Long Xingyun dared to attack the Sea Goblin King, so he deserved to die. There was no way to argue. Long Kershuang's expression changed. She knew Long Xingyun's character. Long Yeli and Xiao Shui were most likely telling the truth. She was hoping that Xiao Shui would help cover it up for the sake of growing up with Long Xingyun. That way, she would have a reason to kill Long Yeli. However, Xiao Shui did not cooperate at all. Xiao Shui, you've disappointed me, Long Kershuang said meaningfully. Xiao Shui was unmoved. The winged dragon laughed. What do you mean by this? Nephew Xingyun might have done something wrong. However, since he's no longer here, we don't need to pursue his mistakes, right? Today, Brother Jade Dragon came here to take revenge on Muyu. However, now that it's confirmed that this matter has nothing to do with Muyu, it's a bit unreasonable for Brother Jade Dragon to attack Muyu. Is this guy speaking up for you? Xiao Shui asked curiously. Muyu smiled faintly. He's not helping me. He's preventing me from being captured by Jade Dragon. Don't forget that Dragon Vine is with me. I think Purple Lightning Winged Dragon already knows about Dragon Vine. So it's for the big earthworm. Little Commander realized. Dragon Vine snorted arrogantly. Mixed dragons are all hypocrites. The Purple Electric Winged Dragon did indeed have this idea in mind. All the dragons that came today had this goal in mind. Everyone had ulterior motives, coveting the true dragon's bloodline, but on the surface, they were all hypocritical and did not reveal their true intentions. The Purple Electric Flying Dragon turned to look at Mu Yu and laughed heartily. Little friend Mu Yu, I am the Purple Electric Flying Dragon, Long Shintu. You are the one who saved the White Ape ancestor and the Panyu tribe ancestor, so you must be an honored guest of the demon race. If you come to the demon clan, all of us will welcome you. Don't worry. In the Yao clan, no one dares to harm you. Yes. Since Xing Yun's death had nothing to do with you, we'll definitely protect you. We're from the demon race. I forgot to introduce myself. I am the Hidden Forest Black Tiger Dragon of the Azure Dragon Dynasty, Long Xingyun. Black Tiger Dragon said very politely. With their tribulation passing stage cultivation and their status as high and mighty members of the Dragon Clan, they would not be so polite to a human under normal circumstances. Only those in the know would know why they were so humble. The Jade Jiao Dragon and Long Kershuang both looked at Mu Yu coldly. They did not hide their killing intent like the Winged Dragon and Black Tiger Dragon. They were determined to blame Mu Yu for Long Xingyun's death. I am Mu Yu. Since the two patriarchs of the dragon race did not blatantly put pressure on Mu Yu, then he naturally would not say anything. After all, he alone could not deal with 4 patriarchs of the dragon race. Everyone was well aware of their own thoughts. They would definitely play tricks in the dark. The Black Tiger Dragon and Winged Dragon would not be the first to shed all pretense of cordiality. The Jade Jiao Dragon and Long Kershuang could not do anything because of the Black Tiger Dragon and Winged Dragon's presence. Xiao Shui, you have to treat our benefactor well, the Winged Dragon said earnestly. Of course. Xiao Shui nodded. The Jade Jiao Dragon and Long Kershuang whispered to each other for a while. Then, the Jade Jiao Dragon revealed a cruel smile and said to the other 2 Dragon Clan chiefs, your attitudes are quite surprising. Like the 2 of you, we also hope that Mu Yu can be in the Valley of Dawn. The Jade Jiao Dragon paused and said in a very cruel voice, live well? The Jade Jiao Dragon and Long Kershuang immediately turned around and left the Valley of Dawn with their people. The Black Tiger Dragon laughed and said, then I won't disturb the Valley of Dawn any longer. Goodbye. The Purple Electric Winged Dragon also said, little friend Mu Yu, we will meet again someday. With that, the Black Tiger Dragon and Purple Electric Winged Dragon disappeared into the sky with Long Yeli. The people of the Valley of Dawn were relieved. They left just like that? Long Ting was shocked. What else? Do they want us to take care of them? Mu Yu was not surprised at all. The old doctor walked over as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He was secretly sweating. Facing the 4 dragon clan chiefs, he was also shocked. Fortunately, they all left. I thought they would at least attack you, Mu Yu. The old doctor also knew the reason why the 4 dragon clan chiefs had their eyes on Mu Yu. However, the 4 dragon clan chiefs did not reveal the truth, so the old doctor did not mention Long Ting's matter. How could they let it go so easily? If anyone attacks me today, they will definitely be punished when the demon kings come back to investigate. This is just the calm before the storm, Mu Yu said calmly. The 4 dragon clan chiefs were all eyeing Long Ting covetously. However, their strength was almost the same. If they really fought, it would be difficult to determine the winner. Even if the final victor obtained Long Ting, he would not dare to openly take away Long Ting's true dragon bloodline. If he did, none of them would be able to bear the Azure Dragon Demon King's anger. Therefore, they would not expose their ambitions. On the surface, the Black Tiger Dragon and Winged Dragon were very polite. However, they were only doing this to prevent the Jade Flood Dragon from monopolizing Long Ting. Now, they were planning to secretly take Long Ting away without anyone knowing. The days in the Valley of Dawn were not going to be peaceful. Then what do we do now? Are we going to wait for them to come and attack us secretly? Just like last time? The old doctor said uneasily. Last time, Tian Silkworm and Xiao Bao's death was very painful for the Yao clan members of the Valley of Dawn. If the 4 demon clans secretly sent people to attack them, the Valley of Dawn would not be peaceful. It's time for us to spread the news about Long Ting. Mu Yu looked at the Yao clan members guarding the entrance of the Valley of Dawn and said in a low voice, "But I thought you didn't want Master True Dragon to?" The old doctor asked hesitantly. Long Yelly betrayed the Jade Flood Dragon. He must have told the Black Tiger Dragon about Long Ting. The Purple Lightning Winged Dragon must have found out about it somehow. Now that the 4 demon clans know about Long Ting's existence, there's no need for us to hide it any longer. What do you think, Long Ting? Mu Yu asked. In the beginning, Mu Yu only wanted to deal with the Jade Flood Dragon. However, since the other demon clans were involved, he had no choice but to deal with them together. We're always running around fighting each other anyway. It's not a big deal, Long Ting said fearlessly. Mu Yu rubbed his forehead. Usually, he was the only one who ran around to deal with things. Long Ting and Little Shuai were just good at talking. They had returned to the Valley of Dawn. Meanwhile, the old doctor had already gathered a few thousand people in the Valley of Dawn. When everyone saw the old doctor's serious expression, they thought that the Valley of Dawn was going to be in trouble when the leaders of the 4 demon clans came to visit. "Old doctor, what happened? Why are you in such a hurry?" Madame Zhu was the first to ask. "Yeah. Are the demon clans planning to attack the Valley of Dawn while the Luan Feng Monster King is away?" Mao Dejiu asked anxiously. "Then what should we do? We are no match for the 4 demon clans." Mammoth Yao asked in a low, muffled voice. "If they want to attack us, then we'll fight them. There's nothing to be afraid of." Elder Tian Can clenched his fist angrily. He was still holding a pork bun in his hand. He waved it in the air, scattering the minced meat everywhere. "That's right, fight it out with them." Heavenly Silkworm Ant also said angrily by the side. Tian Can and Xiao Bao had died at the hands of Jiao Dahu and Jiao Dalong. The Tian Can couple was already gnashing their teeth in anger toward the demon clans. Unfortunately, they were only in the out-of-body stage. They were not even worth mentioning in front of the demon clans. The old doctor set up a high platform in the middle of the street in the Valley of Dawn. He stood on it and waved his hand at everyone, indicating for them to quiet down. He said, "Everyone, please calm down. Today, I'm going to announce something very important. It's also something that the demon clans have never experienced before. He's also the hope of the demon clans. His appearance will break the arrogance of the 4 demon clans. They will no longer be able to do evil." The old doctor became more and more excited as he spoke. Even his voice was trembling. That's right, the demon clans have welcomed a second true dragon. Silence. All the demon clans stopped their clamor and looked at the old doctor strangely. They were not as happy as they thought they would be. They looked at each other. A second true dragon has already appeared? Which dragon clan member has awakened the true dragon bloodline? Old doctor, what kind of good news is this? That's right. What does the awakening of a true dragon have to do with us? The dragon clan is still looking down on us. The demon clans below began to discuss again. The demon clans in the Valley of Dawn did not have any true dragon bloodline. They were often ostracized and discriminated against by the 4 demon clans. Everyone complained incessantly. Therefore, when the old doctor announced this news, everyone thought that one of the 4 demon clans had successfully awakened into a true dragon. The old doctor knew that everyone had misunderstood him. He hurriedly asked Muyu to come up. Muyu floated up and said, "Everyone has misunderstood. The 4 demon clans are usually arrogant, but it's impossible for them to awaken 10 levels of their bloodline. However, I found a genuine true dragon outside. He doesn't belong to any of the 4 demon clans." Dragon Vine had already crawled out of his sleeve. In the blink of an eye, it grew bigger. Its huge body circled in the air and roared majestically. The distant dragon roar instantly silenced everyone. "Hey! Don't compare me to those mixed-blood dragons. I was born a true dragon." Dragon Vine raised its head proudly. This is really a true dragon." Madame Zhu swallowed her saliva and said in disbelief. "His aura is exactly the same as the Azure Dragon ancestors. Is he really not from any of the 4 demon clans?" Many demon clans were still in disbelief. Dragon Vine's majestic aura had intimidated them. However, they still did not dare to confirm this matter. Lord True Dragon is a supreme being born between heaven and earth. How can he be compared to those arrogant trash from the 4 demon clans? The old doctor scolded. "That's right. Lord True Dragon belongs to our Valley of Dawn. He will lead us to fight against the 4 demon clans. In the future, we won't have to worry about being oppressed by the 4 demon clans." Qiao Shui also stood up and said, "Won't have to worry about being oppressed by the 4 demon clans?" Chapter 766. The natives of the Valley of Dawn were all Yao clansmen without true dragon bloodline. Since the Azure Dragon dynasty's development, the Azure Dragon King had been producing offspring with other Yao clansmen for the sake of the continuation of his race. Gradually, the Yao clansmen began to view those with true dragon bloodline as superior. Although none of the dragon clansmen's bloodline was 100% pure, as long as a Yao clansman had a bit of true dragon bloodline, their status in the Yao clansmen would be much higher. Some Yao clansmen were only relatives and had no true dragon bloodline at all. However, for the sake of face, they would still insist that they were part of the dragon clan. Those Yao clansmen without true dragon bloodline were gradually looked down upon by the dragon clan. Unless they were extremely powerful, they would not be able to raise their heads in front of the dragon clan. Up until now, the number of Yao clansmen without true dragon bloodline in the Azure Dragon dynasty had decreased. However, they were not completely extinct. At least 20% of them were primitive Yao clansmen. All these years, the primitive Yao clansmen had not lived a happy life. Unless their cultivation was very high, they would be born inferior to the dragon clan. If not for the Luanfeng Demon King's appearance 10 years ago and the establishment of the Valley of Dawn, gathering the primitive Yao clansmen together, they would probably still be suffering oppression. The Luanfeng Demon King's appearance had turned the Valley of Dawn into a peaceful place. However, once the Luanfeng Demon King was gone, the Dragon Clan would attack them. Once they left the Valley of Dawn, they would be ostracized by the Dragon Clan. The Yao clansmen of the Valley of Dawn hated the Dragon Clan to the core. They only respected true dragons. Now that Xiao Shui suddenly stood up and said that Long Ting would lead them to no longer be oppressed by the Dragon Clan, everyone's hearts were filled with hope. Patriarch Azure Dragon said that he will pass the throne to a true dragon. Doesn't that mean you will be the next emperor? Madame Zhu suddenly asked. After you become the emperor, will you really take care of those arrogant and despotic dragon clansmen? Old Man Tian Can asked excitedly. In the eyes of the Yao clansmen of the Valley of Dawn, the Dragon Clan was only a bully. It was not enough to make them submit. However, a true dragon was different. Emperor? I don't know much about this. Dragon Ting originally wanted to say that he didn't care about the position of emperor. After all, he was used to being lazy. However, Mu Yu interrupted him and said, "That's right. We will help everyone deal with the arrogant and despotic Dragon Clan. We are all demons, so we should have the same status. We should be equal and not look down on each other. Don't you think so?" "That's right. We Yao Yao are equal. They aren't true dragons, so what right do they have to look down on us?" Old Man Tian Can clenched his chubby fist and said, "You're right. Yao Yao is equal. Yao Yao is equal. Yao Yao is equal." The demonic beasts in the Valley of Dawn suddenly roared fervently. Their voices shook the heavens and echoed throughout the Valley of Dawn for a long time. Their emotions had been stirred up by Mu Yu's words, "Monsters are equal." It was as if they couldn't wait to vent the resentment that had accumulated for many years. But now, the four great dragon clans want to secretly harm the true dragon. They want to extract the true dragon's blood and fuse it with their own bodies to cultivate themselves into a true dragon. We definitely can't let this happen. So, we must protect the true dragon. Mu Yu continued to shout. "That's right. Protect the true dragon. Protect the true dragon. Protect the true dragon. Protect the true dragon." Everyone looked at Dragon Ting in the air in awe and shouted excitedly. Little Shui muttered softly, "Mu Yu, why do I feel like you're a bit of a swindler? The village chief of Flowing Water Village is quite similar to you. Did you learn something bad from him?" "Tui, this is leadership, okay? Have you heard of nobility, and status? An uprising must have a good reason. We have Dragon Ting as the benchmark. Do you think we won't be able to find supporters? Besides, where there's oppression, there's resistance. I'm just guiding them appropriately. We can't fight alone in other people's territory, right?" Mu Yu shrugged. He had to find something to use as a slogan for the uprising. Considering the current conflict between the demonic beasts and the Dragon Clan, "Protect the True Dragon" was the most appropriate slogan. From the demonic beast's point of view, he felt sympathy for the demonic beasts who didn't have the true dragon's blood. The demonic beasts had always been the backbone of the demonic beasts' social structure. But since the demonic king broke some rules and was sealed away 5,000 years ago, the demonic beasts were on the brink of extinction. That was why the Dragon Clan rose to prominence. The Dragon Clan was also a combination of demonic beasts. But after they gained power, they forgot their roots and looked down on their ancestors. They tried every means possible to cut ties with the demonic beast. The demonic beasts felt like they had given birth to a bunch of ingrates. Mu Yu thought that if he could help, he would help. If he wanted to protect Dragon Ting, he had to borrow everyone's strength. He nudged Dragon Ting, indicating that Dragon Ting should say something. At least, he should make a statement. "But I don't know what to say." Dragon Ting looked depressed. The wind heart linking formation immediately connected Dragon Ting. Mu Yu said in his heart, "Say whatever I say." Dragon Ting understood Mu Yu's meaning. He followed Mu Yu's words and said loudly, "Everyone, don't worry. As a true dragon, I will protect everyone. The Dragon Clan is a bunch of ungrateful people who forget their root. They have severely damaged the unity of the demonic beast. If we can't even be united and harm each other, how can we let the demonic beasts flourish? Everyone, remember this. The people of the dragon race are not naturally nobler than the primitive demon race. What we advocate is the spirit of equality between demon race and demon race. Even I am the same as everyone else. We allow differences in strength, but we do not allow differences in bloodline. Lord True Dragon, you're so right. This is the demeanor of a king. Lord True Dragon is right. Why should the dragon clan be born nobler than us? That's right. We're all guards. Why do the dragon clan enjoy a higher allowance than us? Abolish the nobility system of the dragon clan and realize equality for all demonic beasts. Defeat the mixed-blood dragon clan and follow Lord True Dragon to death. Defeat the mixed-blood dragon clan and follow Lord True Dragon to death. Dragon Ting, or rather, Mu Yu's words stirred up everyone's emotions. Every demonic beast seemed to have found an outlet to vent their emotions. They roared passionately, swearing to follow Dragon Ting to realize equality for all demonic beasts. I didn't think that the Honorable Lord True Dragon would be willing to put himself on the same level as us. He is the hope of all demonic beasts. The old doctor's eyes brimmed with tears. In the end, he took out a handkerchief to wipe his tears. Mu Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He'd only casually mentioned a general idea to make it sound like a real deal. Who would have thought that the primitive demonic beasts of the Valley of Dawn would react so strongly? Even the old doctor was so engrossed in his speech that he even began to cry. It was no wonder. The primitive demonic beasts were used to being bullied. Even when the Luan Phoenix demonic king was here, she wouldn't be too obvious because of the Green Dragon demonic king. But now that the demonic kings weren't here, Dragon Ting's words were different. She was a true dragon. If even the true dragon said that the true dragon bloodline wasn't important, then what were the dragon clan members with mixed bloodlines? Xiao Shui laughed. The big earthworm will definitely be a puppet emperor in the future. Mu Yu will be the boss behind the scenes. He'll be the royal regent. What about you? The Minister of Internal Affairs? Mu Yu couldn't help but laugh. The primitive demonic beasts of the Valley of Dawn were all on high alert. They took on the responsibility of protecting Dragon Ting. Their philosophy was to fight for a better tomorrow. Under the old doctor's instructions, everyone took on the responsibility of protecting Dragon Ting. Many of them took the initiative to patrol the Valley of Dawn to prevent any Dragon Clan members from taking advantage of the situation. Some of them even left the Valley of Dawn to spread the news of the true dragon's reappearance to the rest of the demonic beasts. In any case, everyone knew that the Valley of Dawn was being protected by Mu Yu's spell formation, which could fend off body integration stage demonic beasts. Although it couldn't stop the 4 Tribulation Transcendence stage clan leaders, now that the news of Dragon Ting's existence had spread throughout the entire demonic beast race, the 4 Tribulation Transcendence stage dragon clan leaders didn't dare to act recklessly. None of the 4 wanted to be caught by the others and be accused of disrespecting the true dragon. Mu Yu, I don't care about the throne of the Emperor. I'd rather travel around the world and enjoy myself. In Xiao Shui's home, Dragon Ting stretched lazily on Mu Yu's shoulder. Xiao Shui couldn't help but burst into laughter. The 4 Dragon Clan members are all envious of the true dragon, yet you're making all sorts of excuses. I'm indifferent to fame and fortune. Dragon Ting raised her head and said, "Tch, you parasite. You just want to cultivate with Mu Yu's spiritual power. Indifferent to fame and fortune? What a nice way to put it." Xiao Shui exposed Dragon Ting's little scheme. Dragon Ting's face reddened as she harumphed. "What does that have to do with you? Mu Yu doesn't mind." Mu Yu shook his head in exasperation. Raising a parasite and having to protect its life at all times was really tiring. In any case, before the Archfiend King's return, we have to be on high alert. Now that news of the true dragon has spread, the Dragon Clan members won't dare to act rashly. However, they definitely won't give up, Mu Yu said. I hate mixed-blood dragons the most. I feel like they've tarnished my image. I can either be a normal Archfiend clan member and be comfortable to look at, Or I can be a complete true dragon and be a bit more impressive. I really hate people like that, Dragonting said. Actually, Grandpa Azure Dragon doesn't like the 4 dragon clan members either. He values the native Archfiend clan members more because he doesn't like his noble image becoming indecent. Therefore, he set a rule that only true dragons can take over his position. He's very similar to you in this regard, Xiao Shui said with a smile. Then why does he allow the 4 Archfiend clan members to bully the primitive Archfiend clan members? Dragon Ting asked in confusion. Because the Archfiend clan members with the true dragon bloodline are much stronger than the primitive Archfiend clan members. If the Archfiend clan members want to rise, they have to rely on the dragon clan members. Therefore, as long as the dragon clan members don't do anything excessive, he will turn a blind eye to it, Xiao Shui said. Then is this considered an uprising? Little Shui asked excitedly. Overthrowing the evil monarch Archfiend Azure Dragon's rule? Overthrowing the Azure Dragon dynasty? What are you thinking about in that little head of yours? Why are you always interested in such strange things? This is just a temporary measure to deal with the 4 dragon clan members. Do you understand? Mu Yu flicked Little Shuai's head. This guy just wanted to see the world in chaos. Just thinking about such a fun thing makes me excited. Big Earthworm, why don't we work together to overthrow the old Dragon King? Little Shui said while rubbing his fists. No, I prefer to sleep. So unambitious. The 2 of you don't cause trouble. We need to think of a way to get through this period without the Archfiend, Mu Yu said. We're out in the open while they're in the dark. I'm afraid it's going to be very troublesome, Xiao Shui said worriedly. I don't like to sit around and wait for death. We need to take the initiative. Mu Yu poured himself a cup of rice wine. This was brewed by Lord Sky Silkworm himself as a thank you gift. Mu Yu found the wine to be quite delicious. The appearance of the true dragon in the Yao territory caused a huge commotion. Many onlookers who didn't know the truth began to get excited. The Valley of Dawn wasn't the only place among the Yao territory where primitive Yao clansmen lived. In the entire Azure Dragon dynasty, 80% of the population were dragons, and only 20% were primitive Yao clansmen. When they heard about the appearance of the Lord True Dragon, many Yao clansmen thought about the rules set by the Archfiend Azure Dragon's successor. They traveled thousands of miles just to see the true dragon in the Valley of Dawn. More and more Yao clansmen arrived in the Valley of Dawn. However, the old doctor strictly prohibited the dragons from entering. As a precaution, the outsiders were also monitored, worried that they were spies sent by the dragons. He personally stood guard outside Xiao Shui's house, not allowing anyone to get close. Even at night there were people patrolling the area. Dragonting would occasionally roar and circle in the air to show the Yao clansmen what a real dragon's might was. Everyone was even more convinced of the true dragon's existence. When they heard that Dragonting was going to lead the primitive Yao clansmen to a better life and enter a harmonious society where all Yao clansmen were equal, countless people responded to her call. The dragons, on the other hand, were not happy. Many Yao clansmen who didn't have the true dragon's bloodline would join the dragons after reaching a certain level of cultivation and work for them. However, working for the dragons would still cause them to be ostracized. Dragons of the same level had a much higher status than primitive Yao clansmen. Therefore, when Dragonting's call for equality between all Yao clansmen was released, many primitive Yao clansmen who worked for the dragons responded enthusiastically. They quit their jobs and came to the Valley of Dawn to be guards. Naturally, these people had to go through the old doctor to make sure they weren't spies from the dragons. In fact, they borrowed Mu Yu's testing methods. The primitive Yao clansmen who came to submit were all interrogated by Mu Yu's divine soul formation. Most of them surrendered wholeheartedly. However, 1 or 2 spies were caught and they were beaten up and thrown out. Chapter 767. Originally, it didn't matter even if all the demons knew about the dragon vine, because they didn't think it would change anything. But who would have thought that you would actually shout out the slogan, "Demons and demons are equal"? For the 4 Dragon Clan patriarchs, this demons and demons are equal, had stirred up social conflicts among the demons. The primitive demons had been oppressed for so many years because they didn't have a leader. Even the Luan Feng Demon King didn't interfere with the Azure Dragon Demon King. But now that Lord True Dragon had stood out and said equality for all demons, what did the primitive demons have to fear? Now that all the demon kings were gone, the Azure Dragon dynasty was in chaos. The primitive demons were ready to support the true dragon of the Valley of Dawn to resist the rule of the dragons. They wanted to shake their position as the overlord and march toward a society of equality for all demons. Even among the dragons, because the 4 dragon clans were scheming against each other, their strength was scattered. 80% of the demons were dragons and 20% were primitive demons. The 80% of the dragons were divided into 4 main factions. This meant that the number of primitive demons was about the same as the number of dragons in one faction. This was a very powerful force. Therefore, the clan leaders of the 4 dragon clans could no longer sit still. They finally realized that if they continued to set each other up all day long, they would be able to suppress the primitive demon clans if they killed one of their own. On this day, the patriarchs of the 4 great dragon clans actually gathered together. Usually, when the 4 of them gathered together, they would discuss the important matters of the Azure Dragon dynasty together. Everyone was scheming against each other, and the moment they met, they would mock and ridicule each other. However, this time, everyone's expression was very serious. The location of the gathering was the nest of the hidden forest Black Tiger. It was in a lush forest, and there was a luxurious house hidden in it. The house was very grand. There was a majestic black tiger tree eagle at the door. It was very lifelike. It stared at the outsiders, making them feel like they would pounce at any moment. In the courtyard, the Dragon Clan's people could be seen patrolling everywhere. There were guards at every corner. The security was so strong that even a fly could not easily fly in. Jade Jiao Dragon and Long Keshuang walked together into the hall. They coldly looked at the Black Tiger Dragon and the Winged Dragon, who had been waiting for a long time. "Hey Hulong, speak. Why did you call us here today?" Jade Flood Dragon asked coldly. Hey Hulong pondered for a while, then said, "Naturally, it's about the true dragon." The Jade Flood Dragon sneered, "Have you figured out how to deal with Muyu? A few days ago, you did everything possible to stop me from killing him." Hey Hulong wasn't angry at the sarcasm. Instead, he retorted, "Let's not beat around the bush. Did you only go there to avenge your son? Don't think I don't know that you've been eyeing that dragon vine for a long time." That day, the Black Tiger Dragon and the Winged Dragon had gone to Dawn Valley to prevent the Jade Serpent from taking the dragon vine away. Otherwise, once the Jade Serpent took the dragon vine's blood, the throne of the Azure Dragon dynasty would fall into the Jade Serpent's hands. This was not something they wanted to see. So what if he's targeted? "We found the dragon vine first." Jade Flood Dragon sneered. The Winged Dragon laughed and said, "Brother Jade Flood Dragon, you're in the wrong. The dragon vine's blood is extremely precious. It's too much for you to monopolize it. If that's the case, then we'll rely on our own abilities. The dragon vine will belong to whoever can get it." Long Keshuang snorted. As the only woman of the 4 clan leaders, Long Keshuang wasn't as simple as she seemed. In terms of cultivation, she wasn't inferior to the others. In terms of means, she was even better. The Winged Dragon picked up a cup of tea from the table and took a sip, then said, "It's not that simple to rely on one's own abilities. I'm sure you've all been defeated in Dawn Valley, right?" Hey Hulong also laughed. "There are many body integration stage demons in Dawn Valley, not to mention Mu Yu and the Old Doctor. The Old Doctor is easy to deal with. I've heard that Mu Yu was able to stall the crossing calamity stage cultivator from the gate of hell with his spirit-severing stage cultivation base, allowing Yu Zhang's patriarch to escape in time. His abilities shouldn't be underestimated. Brother Jade Flood Dragon, didn't you suffer a great loss at his hands not long ago? He Hulong's words provoked Jade Flood Dragon's anger. Jade Flood Dragon touched his chest and recalled the self-harm he did to get rid of the desolate ruins poison. He slammed the table and stood up. He Hulong, I haven't settled the score with you for poisoning me. How dare you provoke me again today? Do you really think I'm that easy to deal with? I don't know if I'm easy to deal with, but I've never been poisoned by the desolate ruins poison with my cultivation base. He Hulong said calmly. Then I'll have to learn from you. The table and chairs beside Jade Flood Dragon had already been shattered into nothingness. His body was also glowing with a pale white light. He Hulong's body was also flickering with a dark light. It seemed like he was ready to attack at any moment. Both of you, please calm down. We're here for the same purpose today. Let's not talk about the past for now. Winged Dragon came out to smooth things over. Zidian's aura stood between the two of them, preventing them from fighting. Everyone knew about the grudge between Jade Flood Dragon and He Hulong. Winged Dragon naturally didn't want their conflict to ruin their alliance. Long Keshuang said, "What do you think of the Winged Dragon? The four of us can't attack Dawn Valley ourselves. Who do you think has the ability to kill Mu Yu without anyone noticing?" As Tribulation Transcendence experts, the four clan leaders had the ability to break into the Valley of Dawn. However, if they did it themselves, it would be too obvious. Everyone in the Yao clan would know that they were the ones who took the Dragon Vine. The Azure Dragon Monster King would never let them go. As the clan leaders of the four dragon clans, although they held high positions, they still didn't dare to challenge Green Dragon Monster King's authority. If they wanted the dragon vines, they had to do it cleanly. They had to do it secretly. However, they didn't know Mu Yu's methods. If they were exposed, it would be embarrassing. Since we can't do it secretly, we'll do it openly. Purple Lightning Winged Dragon said. What do you mean? Jade Flood Dragon found another chair and sat down. Purple Lightning Winged Dragon said slowly, in 6 days, it'll be the annual Rising Dragon Assembly of our Azure Dragon Dynasty. Why don't we make an exception and let Mu Yu participate in such a grand event? Firstly, we can figure out Mu Yu's true strength. Secondly, we can think of a way to deal with him. It'll be best if our clansmen can kill him. Then, no one will be able to protect the dragon vines. If Green Dragon Monster King wants to know, we can just say that we have no eyes. It has nothing to do with us. Mu Yu can even stop a tribulation passing expert from the gate of hell. We can't participate in the Rising Dragon Assembly. Who do you expect to deal with Mu Yu? Jade Flood Dragon asked disdainfully. Is your clan so poor that you can't even send a single person? Black Tiger Dragon said sarcastically. I wonder who lost so badly in last year's Rising Dragon Assembly. Jade Flood Dragon retorted, not to be outdone. Every year, Green Dragon Monster King doesn't allow the participants to rely on external forces. However, since Green Dragon Monster King isn't here this year, the rules can be changed. We just need to use a little trick. What do you think? Purple Lightning Winged Dragon's mouth curved into a faint smile. You mean? Jade Flood Dragon frowned. Back then, Iwan Mao told me that Mu Yu could stop a tribulation passing expert from the gate of hell because he relied on the demon subduing pagoda. However, the demon subduing pagoda was left on the demon island. In this way, Mu Yu can't exert the strength of a tribulation passing expert. On the other hand, we have a way to increase the strength of our clansmen. Are there any lack of elites in big clans? Purple Lightning Winged Dragon's eyes flashed with purple light. What if Mu Yu doesn't participate? Jade Flood Dragon asked. Then we'll invite Long Ting to participate. As a true dragon, if Long Ting doesn't participate, those primitive shifters will be disappointed. Don't you think so? Purple lightning-winged dragon laughed. Life in the Valley of Dawn was getting more and more lively, but Long Ting was tired of it. He didn't want to go out and be treated as an exhibit. Every time he went out to show his face, he would come back with a gloomy face. It can't be helped. You're now a member of the Equal Shifters Uprising. You have to establish your own image. Muyu comforted him. That's right. Look at how useless you are. The way you appear is like an idiot. You can't even speak properly. Have you forgotten the set of movements I taught you last night? Little Handsome said, exasperated. Little Handsome was someone who enjoyed watching the world burn. He had taught Long Ting the correct way to appear as a leader last night. He had to walk with his head held high and his chest puffed out. Unfortunately, Long Ting was used to being lazy. His movements were as stiff as a hemp rope. In the end, he even moved his hands and feet in order to keep up with the movements. Little Handsome had a good time laughing at him. I'm done playing. If any of you want to play, go ahead. I don't care about being an emperor. Long Ting lay on the ground. He bounced a few times and curled up into a ball. I'm not asking you to be an emperor. You have to ask the Azure Dragon Monster King how to cultivate. Your current cultivation doesn't fit the temperament of a true dragon, so we have to buy some time until the Azure Dragon Monster King comes back. Besides, everyone outside is your supporter. You can't let them down. Muyu said. Xiao Shui laughed. It's all because of Muyu's equal shifters. Everyone is fighting for the same goal now. Muyu had only said it casually. He didn't expect that equal shifters would intensify the social conflicts between the shifters. You're the one who said the slogan. You can go and be the shifters' emperor. Long Ting rolled over. Don't I have enough identities now? I'm the branch master of the Pill Cauldron sect, the sect master of the Formation Glyph sect, and Spirit Lord Yu Meng. I might even have to be the savior of the world in the future. I'm tired to death. I don't care about being the shifters' emperor. I have a lot of things to do. Muyu spread his hands. Chapter 768. Lord True Dragon, little friend Muyu, may I come in? The old doctor asked from the doorway. Come in. We're all on the same side, what's with the hesitation? Dragon Ting shouted in dissatisfaction. Yes. The old doctor hurriedly responded respectfully. Then, he hurriedly walked in and said with a serious expression, Little friend Muyu, the 4 dragon clans have sent an invitation letter. It's about the Rising Dragon Assembly in a few days. They have specially invited you and Master True Dragon to attend. Rising Dragon Assembly? What's that? The Dragon Clan gathering to give birth to little dragon people? Then why did they invite Muyu? To be a midwife? Little Handsome asked curiously. Muyu knocked Little Handsome's head and said, Don't make trouble. Old doctor, please sit. The old doctor was a little embarrassed by Little Handsome's words and sat down. The Rising Dragon Assembly is an annual event for the Demon Clan. Its purpose is to test the strength of the younger generation of the Demon Clan. Any Demon Clan member under the age of 50 can participate. Many Demon Clan members have soared in the Rising Dragon Assembly and are well known by everyone. 50 years old is still considered young? Isn't that an old man or woman? Little Handsome asked curiously. The old doctor nodded. For the Demon Clan members, that's the case. Because of the Demon Clan members' physique, their average lifespan was 10 years longer than humans. Even so, their overall strength was still inferior to humans. Then what are the requirements to participate in the Rising Dragon Assembly? Muyu asked. People of different cultivation levels will be divided into different groups to participate in the competition. The competition rules are very simple. You just have to defeat your opponent in a one-on-one battle. You can't use pills or magic treasures to increase your cultivation level. Everything depends on your own cultivation level. The old doctor said. Every year, the ancestor will watch the rising dragon assembly. Those who perform outstandingly will receive the ancestor azure dragon's recognition and even have the chance to receive personal guidance from him. The competition is divided into 3 stages: out of body, severed soul, and body integration. The top 3 in each stage will be chosen and have different rewards. What rewards? Every year, the 3 first-place winners are the dragon scales refined by the azure dragon ancestor. It has a very powerful battle strength and can instantly increase one's cultivation and strengthen one's body. This is something that makes people jealous. As for the remaining 3 second and 3 third places, I'm not sure what the prizes will be, but they will all be very rare treasures. The old doctor said enviously, "Dragon scales? I have dragon scales too. I can give you as many as you want." Dragon Vine swung its tail, and the scales on its body began to shine with a green light. Xiao Shui curled his lips. "Come on, how can those rotten leaves of yours compare to the Demon King? Think about how long Xingyun used his dragon scales to cause trouble for us." "The Jade Serpent gave him the dragon scales," Xiao Shui said. "No wonder he took out the Azure Dragon King's dragon scale in the Yaoxiling Pagoda. That really is something." Mu Yu had fought Long Xingyun before, so the dragon scale was still fresh in his memory. The old doctor shook his head. The Rising Dragon League is a good opportunity for many demons to show off their skills in front of the Azure Dragon ancestor. It is very difficult for us primitive demon clansmen to shine in the Rising Dragon assembly. The ones who get first place are all from the Dragon clan. "Xiao Shui, you didn't get first place either?" Mu Yu asked. Xiao Shui shook her head. "My cultivation increased at the wrong time. Last year, I was only at the 6th level of out-of-body. But I can try this year. Little friend Mu Yu, they've invited you to participate in the Rising Dragon Assembly this year. Clearly, they intend to deal with you during the Rising Dragon Assembly. You have to be careful," said the old doctor. "Deal with me?" Mu Yu rubbed his chin. If something happened to him, Dragon Vine would be in danger. Where did they get the confidence to deal with Mu Yu? Dragon Vine laughed. Others didn't know Mu Yu's strength, but he and Little Shui knew it very well. "Don't let your guard down. The Azure Dragon ancestor isn't here this year, so the rules are set by them. The 4 dragon races basically get dragon scales every year. They didn't dare to use them in the past, but they will definitely use them this time," the old doctor said solemnly. "Mu Yu, do you want to participate?" Xiao Shui asked. "Of course. Why wouldn't I?" Mu Yu wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. "I'm not the only one going. Dragonvine, you have to go too," Mu Yu said after a moment of silence. "Me? What am I going to participate in? I don't need dragon scales. I have plenty of them," Dragon Vine muttered. "I know you don't need dragon scales, but you are now the representative of Yao Yao's equality. You have to take the lead and defeat your opponents to inspire the people," Mu Yu said seriously. "Big Earthworm, are you afraid of losing to those mixed-blood dragons?" Little Shui mocked. Dragon Vine stuck out his chest and showed the dragon patterns on his body. "Why would I be afraid of them? I will open my mouth and use a true dragon breath to kill them." "Since you are all going to participate, can I participate too?" Little Shui raised his little claws and asked cheerfully. The old doctor looked embarrassed. "It is reasonable to say that anyone can participate freely, but the participants are usually from the demon race. Demon beasts can't participate, that's easy. I can also transform into a human," Little Shui said happily. "Hey little mouse, didn't you say that you wouldn't be as handsome as yourself if you transformed into a human?" Dragon Vine said in surprise. Mu Yu was also very curious. On the way to the Demon Island, Little Shui and Dragon Vine had said that they could transform into a human. Mu Yu had always wanted to see what they looked like when they transformed into a human. However, one despised the human form for being too ugly, while the other despised the human form for not being awe-inspiring enough. Therefore, these two narcissistic fellows were unwilling to transform into a human. Come, come, come. Hurry up and transform into a human for me to see, Mu Yu said with a face full of anticipation. Little Shuai tilted his head and said, I haven't thought about what kind of person to transform into. You can freely control your human form? Qiao Shui said in surprise. The old doctor was also very puzzled. After we awaken our intelligence, our human form is fixed. There is no way for us to choose. Then I am not from the demon race, Little Shuai said indifferently. Cut the crap. Change into a cuter form. If you are too ugly, don't think about sleeping in my arms in the future, Mu Yu urged. Little Shuai wagged his tail and pondered for a moment. Then, his body began to emit a white light. In the white light, Little Shuai's body continued to grow. Then, he shouted in a childish voice, Handsome brother splitter heaven and earth. There was a flash of light, and a figure was already standing on the table. He had big blue eyes, long eyelashes, a small and cute nose, and a delicate little mouth. His white hair fluttered restlessly, and his skin was bright and rosy. He looked like a 1-meter-tall porcelain doll. His body was wrapped in a white shirt, revealing his cute little belly button. He wore a pair of black shorts, and his little feet were bare. He looked like a cute little child who didn't know anything about the world. Wah, Little Shuai, I didn't expect you to be so cute even after transforming into a human. Mu Yu looked at Little Shuai and couldn't help but reach out to pinch Little Shuai's little cheek. He looked so cute that anyone who saw him couldn't help but praise him a little. Yes, 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 Little Shuai corrected. Little mouse, why did you transform into a little kid? Long Ting curled her lips. Children are more handsome. Little Shuai happily jumped around on the table. Come, Little Shuai, come to me. Qiao Shui also happily waved at Little Shuai. Little Shuai happily jumped into Qiao Shui's arms and buried his face in the soft place. Luckily you didn't transform into a big face and a rough waist. Otherwise, I would consider beating you to death. Mu Yu looked at Little Shuai's shameless actions and said seriously. What about you, Long Ting? You only have one form, right? Mu Yu asked. So what? Why do I have to transform into a human? Geez. Long Ting muttered. However, under Little Shuai's mocking laughter, she reluctantly flashed out a ray of light. Her body gradually transformed, and in the end, she transformed into a lazy young man. She had sharp eyebrows, a handsome face, and a pair of dragon eyes that shone with a strange light. Her nose was tall and straight, and the corners of her mouth were curled to one side. She had an arrogant expression, and her hands were crossed in front of her chest. She looked like a pampered and rebellious young man. What's wrong? Do you have a problem? Long Ting lazily looked at the stunned old doctor. No, I'm just too surprised. Generally, a demon that has just transformed will have the characteristics of a demon beast. Only in the future will they slowly dissipate. However, Lord True Dragon can transform into such a perfect human form. This really makes this old man amazed. The old doctor quickly said, Hey, my transformation is also very perfect. Little Shuai said, All right, you are not a demon. Mu Yu rudely rubbed Little Shuai's hair. Xiao Shuai was a sword spirit, a creature born from the 9 heavenly swords. It did not belong to the 5 elements and would not be bound by the rules of the world. This was what Huan Ing Qing Yu's spirit had said when they were in the 2nd layer of heaven. Therefore, Xiao Shuai was not related to the demon race. Long Ting lazily sat on the chair beside Mu Yu. Then I have to participate in the spirit severing stage competition, right? That's right. You usually rely on my wind-wind-heart linking formation. I can't help you during the competition. Have you mastered my sword technique? Mu Yu helplessly asked. Long Ting nodded. I have already learned Dragon Vine Howling the Sky. I can use it without you, but it might not be as powerful as you. What about Little Shuai? Little Shuai, what is your cultivation level? Mu Yu suddenly realized that he had been with Little Shuai for so long, but he had never asked about Little Shuai's cultivation level. When Little Shuai fought, he would summon a giant sword that was a few hundred meters long. He didn't know Little Shuai's individual strength. Little Shuai sat on Qiao Shui's lap and laughed. Me? I don't have cultivation. You don't have cultivation. This time, everyone was shocked. Mu Yu seriously sized up Little Shuai and found that he really didn't sense any spirit force fluctuations from Little Shuai. Chapter 769. But don't you like to slash people with a lightning sword that's dozens of times bigger than you? Your strength is about the same as mine. Mu Yu asked in confusion. When he used the wind-wind heart-linking formation to communicate with Little Commander, he didn't realize that Little Commander had no cultivation. I don't have cultivation, but I can borrow your cultivation. Your sword is my sword. Anyway, I feel that your sword is quite useful, Little Commander said innocently. Thinking about it carefully, every time Little Commander attacked, he would use the wind-wind heart-linking formation to draw on Mu Yu's sword intent. Back in Clearwater City, he had also controlled the sky swords of Mu Yu's 4 fellow disciples. Then as a sword spirit, do you only know how to use the dark heaven lightning fall? Mu Yu had never asked Little Commander what he knew. Usually, he would be the one to take care of his enemies. Little Commander would only provide him with some information. There was no need for Little Commander to risk his life for him. Little Commander scratched his head. I know other sword techniques, but my favorite is still the dark heaven lightning fall. Because lightning is cooler. Then, when I don't use the wind-wind heart-linking formation, what do you use to fight others? Mu Yu was completely helpless against Little Commander. I have this. Little Commander stretched out his meaty little fist and shook it. Then, 3 sharp blades as thin as cicada's wings popped out from between his fists. These blades were only 3 inches long. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to be seen clearly. However, Mu Yu knew that Little Commander's blades were truly indestructible and incomparably sharp. Until now, there had never been anything that Little Commander's blades couldn't cut through. He just didn't know if Little Commander could cut through his thick skin. Alright then. But you're a sword spirit. Can't you use a sword? Then when the time comes, lend me your shadow clone sword. Little Commander said. Mu Yu thought for a moment and confirmed the rules of the competition. Their competitions wouldn't be held at the same time, so they could do that. You go and participate in the out-of-body stage competition. This time, we'll get all 3 dragon scales. Mu Yu smiled confidently. If the Dragon Race people thought that they could make a move against him with the help of the Rising Dragon League, then they better be prepared to regret it. The 2 little fellows still disliked their human forms, so they only maintained their human forms for a short while before reverting back to their beast forms. Qiao Shui originally wanted to participate in the competition, but since Long Ting wanted to participate, she didn't want to cause trouble for Long Ting. Mu Yu began to teach Long Ting the essence of falling dragon howling to the sky. He also taught the sword force seriously and sparred with Long Ting. Dragon Vine was only at the severed soul stage. She didn't have any other cultivation methods, so she couldn't compare to the dragons. Therefore, Mu Yu had to make sure that Dragon Vine could win. Mu Yu pondered for a long while. In the end, he sealed his profound formation skills in a few innate formation bases and handed them to Long Ting and Xiao Shui. Didn't you say that we can't rely on external forces? Dragon Vine asked. Use it as a trump card. If others don't abide by the rules, then there's no need for us to abide by the rules. Mu Yu was not a person who followed the rules. The rules were dead, but people were alive. The most important thing was who had the last laugh. If he really wanted to play tricks, then his formation skills were not so good to provoke. I know my own formation skills. If I don't like someone, then I'll give them a thunder snake shadow. Xiao Shuai gestured, and a blue lightning formation pattern flowed from his fingertips. He had learned a lot of formation skills. Sometimes, his formation skills were not inferior to Mu Yu. After Mu Yu grasped the power of nature, he also learned it. Then we'll wait and give those monster race people a surprise. The Rising Dragon League was a grand event for the monster race. This was the battlefield for the monster race youths, and also a great opportunity for them to stand out in the monster race. Here, they could see the true strength of the younger generation of the monster race. It was also the time for those without or with a weak true dragon bloodline to rise. Therefore, every monster race member took this event very seriously and looked forward to it. The grand event was held at a spacious Rising Dragon stage outside the Azure Dragon Royal City. This was a place specially built by the demonic beasts to hold the Rising Dragon assembly. The Rising Dragon Arena was divided into different areas for people of different cultivation levels to spar with. The out-of-body stage, severed soul stage, and body integration stage were divided into different areas. The old doctor had already handed in the names of those who signed up. No one paid any attention to Xiao Shuai. Everyone's focus was on Dragon Vine. After all, she was the second true dragon to appear in the world. She was the focus of everyone's attention. As for Mu Yu, no one paid much attention to him. The only ones who really cared about him were the 4 dragon race members. The monster race didn't know what a foreign human like Mu Yu meant. There were also monster race members from the Dawn Valley participating in the Rising Dragon League. However, those severed soul stage youths consciously didn't sign up. Everyone was here to see how the true dragon would defeat the dragon race and establish his prestige. Naturally, they wouldn't take the initiative to cause trouble for the true dragon. When Mu Yu followed the old doctor and the others to the Rising Dragon Arena, there was already a sea of people. There were enthusiastic monster race members everywhere. Of course, where there were people, there was business. Therefore, there was a lot of food being sold. After Xiao Shuai transformed into his human form, he held a skewer of roasted pork loin in one hand and ate until his mouth was covered in oil. Long Ting followed lazily at the side. News of his current appearance in human form had already spread, and thus attracted a lot of attention. Many demonic beasts looked at him with reverence, anticipating his performance in this year's Rising Dragon Assembly. The old doctor had already arranged everything. They sat in their own resting area. Xiao Shuai, this little brat, would run out every time he finished eating. When he came back, he would bring back a big bunch of food. Mu Yu had a headache telling him that he had to pay for his food. It was not easy being a businessman, but they said I was cute and gave me food for free. Xiao Shuai blinked his big blue eyes and said innocently. Mu Yu was speechless. He felt a little envious. Soon, the members of the 4 great dragon clans also arrived. In the past, the first place of the 3 stages of the Rising Dragon League had always been taken by them. However, because a true dragon had appeared this year, the primitive monster race members had placed their hopes on the true dragon. This year, the Azure Dragon Monster King was not present. Therefore, the opening ceremony of the Rising Dragon League was jointly hosted by the 4 clan leaders. They took out 3 shining golden dragon scales that the Azure Dragon Monster King had left behind before he left. At this moment, the 3 dragon scales were floating above the judges' seats, protected by a powerful formation. Dragon scales symbolized supreme majesty and also possessed great power. This was something that all Yao clan members yearned for even in their dreams. The purple lightning winged dragon was the main host. He flew up from the judges' seats and stood on the high platform overlooking all the monster race members. Everyone, Ancestor Azure Dragon has some matters to attend to and is not present. However, we will uphold a fair and just attitude and excavate the potential of every young monster race member. We will display the demeanor of our monster race's younger generation. Everyone already knows the rules of the Rising Dragon League, so I won't repeat them here. I hope that everyone will be able to fight with all their might and display their most elegant side to everyone. I now announce that the Rising Dragon League will now begin. The crowd immediately erupted into enthusiastic cheers. Some monster race members even used their homemade instruments to play wild and pleasant music. Beautiful fireworks and firecrackers were set off around the plaza. There were even some beautiful female monster race members dancing on the Rising Dragon stage. This was the grand opening ceremony. This kind of joyous atmosphere was very rare. The monster race treated the Rising Dragon League as a grand occasion. The monster race members who couldn't participate in the competition all sang and danced, cheering for the participants. It was as if this was not a competition, but more like an annual gathering. You monster race members are really passionate. Muyu couldn't help but sigh. He saw some kind of fireworks in the distance turn into a majestic azure dragon. It circled in the air for a long time, looking very lifelike. It even let out a realistic dragon's roar, causing everyone to gasp in amazement. Just like how you humans celebrate New Year, the Rising Dragon League is very meaningful to us. This year is already the 5139th Rising Dragon League. It's mainly to commemorate the day we took root in this desolate land, the old doctor said with a smile. Every year, the Azure Dragon Monster King has to sacrifice 3 dragon scales. Doesn't that mean all the scales on his body have been plucked out? Xiao Shui muttered with a steamed bun in his mouth. Little mouse, are you stupid? Dragon scales will fall off and grow back, okay? Longting said. The opening ceremony lasted for a full 2 hours. After everyone had displayed their talents, the main event finally began. The order of the competition had already been decided. This was all done by the old doctor. He was responsible for guiding the time and order of all the participants in the Valley of Dawn. In previous years, the Rising Dragon League would last for 4 to 5 days, depending on the number of participants. Today, Xiao Shui's competition started first, followed by Mu Yu's, and finally Longting's. Longting, don't disappoint everyone. It's not good to be defeated by those pseudo-dragons. Mu Yu encouraged Longting. He was actually most worried about Longting. Xiao Shui's skin was thick, so he wouldn't be in trouble even if he couldn't win. He also didn't need to worry about those monster race members. On the other hand, Longting was too reliant on him. This competition could be considered a learning experience for Longting. That's right. If you lose, it'll be a real joke. Xiao Shui was not flustered at all. It was unknown where his confidence came from. He didn't have any cultivation, but he still dared to compete with an out-of-body stage monster race member. I won't lose. You, on the other hand, won't be defeated in 1 round. Longting said arrogantly. Among the younger generation of monster race members participating in the Rising Dragon League, there were the most out-of-body stage cultivators, about 400 of them. There were only about 50 severed soul stage cultivators, and even fewer body integration stage cultivators, about 20. Although monster race members had long lifespans, their cultivation progress was much slower than that of humans. Those who could break through to the body integration stage before the age of 50 were considered very talented. Even those who could break through to the severed soul stage before the age of 40 were considered geniuses. The young monster race members that the White Ape Demon King had brought out to fight against humans were all elites of the monster race. The Rising Dragon League was a gathering of monster race geniuses. This was also why the dragon race placed so much importance on the Rising Dragon League. In the Valley of Dawn, no one had reached the body integration stage before the age of 50. There were only 3 severed soul stage cultivators, and they had all chosen to forfeit for Longting. What they really cared about was the dragon race. To a certain extent, having the bloodline of a true dragon would indeed make them more talented. Little Handsome, you're in Area 2. Let's go, I'll take you there. The old doctor was deeply skeptical of Little Handsome's strength. He had thought that this brat, who still smelled of his mother's milk and didn't seem to have any cultivation, was joking when he said that he wanted to participate. Who would have thought that Moo Yu would actually let Little Handsome go? Let's go too. Moo Yu's match hadn't started yet, but he had already tossed the shadow clone sword to Little Handsome. Little Handsome was currently holding the sword under his armpit and holding some food in his hand. Originally, the shadow clone sword was slightly taller than Little Handsome, but when it came into contact with Little Handsome, it actually shrunk until it fit perfectly with his body. Long Ting disappeared into Moo Yu's clothes. He didn't like being showcased everywhere he went, so he didn't revert to his original form. Next match, Little Handsome against Long Outian. The referee announced loudly. Little Handsome ran up with the shadow clone sword under his armpit and a large chicken drumstick in his hand. Little kid, there's a competition going on here. Hurry up and go back. Don't cause trouble. The host of this competition was a balding uncle. His true form was a spirit weasel. When he saw Little Handsome, who was only 1 meter tall and looked like he was 4 or 5 years old, running up, he thought that he was a mischievous child. Little Handsome finished the rest of the chicken drumstick and threw away the bones. He shook his hands and all the oil stains were wiped clean. He revealed a harmless smile and said, "I'm called Little Handsome." Uncle Weasel was stunned for a long time before he reacted. "You're called Little Handsome?" "Yes." "Nonsense. You have no cultivation at all and you're so young. Who allowed you to participate?" Uncle Weasel scolded. "The competition only has an upper age limit, but there's no lower age limit." Little Handsome gestured with the shadow clone sword. Uncle Weasel frowned. The Rising Dragon League did have an upper age limit, but whether or not everyone chose to participate, and which cultivation level they participated in, everyone knew in their hearts. No one would recklessly participate in a competition that they were not qualified for, so in previous years, there was no need to confirm everyone's age. In the end, Little Handsome managed to sneak in. There were some restrictions on the Rising Dragon Arena, and only those under the age of 50 could enter. Little Handsome was already standing on the stage, so strictly speaking, he did not break the rules. What's going on? Why is my opponent a little kid? Is this a joke? A young man in his late 20s slowly walked up and glanced at Little Handsome arrogantly, thinking that something had gone wrong. Yeah. Why is this little kid here? Whose kid is this? Why aren't you rushing home? He's so young. He hasn't even started cultivating. Why is he allowed to sneak in? What if he gets hurt? Io, this kid is so cute. Hurry up and come down, let Auntie take a good look at him. The spectating Yao clansmen below the stage were already talking. They all thought of Little Handsome as a mischievous child, and did not see him as a participant at all. Why hasn't it started yet? Uncle, are we not going to continue this competition? Little Handsome asked curiously. Uncle Weasel hesitated for a moment, then said, "Little kid, hurry up and get off the stage. We'll take this as your loss. Don't do this kind of thing in the future, or I'll spank you." What's wrong with you? You're the judge, and you're announcing my loss before the competition even started? Is there any shady deal in your competition? Little Handsome yelled in his childish voice. Uncle Weasel could not hold back his anger. What shady deal? I'm doing this for your own good. I don't want you to get hurt. Chapter 770. Hey kid, you're so disobedient. Who's your guardian? The judge, Uncle Itachi, shouted at the crowd. The old physician walked out awkwardly from the crowd and said, let him participate. He's from the Valley of Dawn. He's a genius child. The old physician blushed as he said that. He did not know what Xiao Shuai's abilities were. He only knew that Xiao Shuai usually looked like a little squirrel, nestled beside Mu Yu and liked to eat. It was rare for Xiao Shuai to transform into a human and say that he wanted to participate in the competition. Mu Yu agreed, so the old physician allowed him to go up. Old physician, are you serious? This kid doesn't even have a cultivation base. It'll be bad if he gets hurt. The judge saw that it was the old physician. With the old physician's status among the shifters, the judge politely confirmed it. Is there no one else in the Valley of Dawn? You actually sent a kid to participate in the competition? Has the primitive shifters declined to this extent? The out-of-body dragon Outyin looked coldly at the old physician. As a member of the dragon clan, he had always looked down on the primitive shifters. Hey, Long Outyin or something. If you want to fight, just fight. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? Are you going to start or not? Xiao Shuai shouted unhappily. I won't go easy on a lowly shifters. Long Outyin was from the demonic dragon Python clan. He was only 25 years old, but he was already at the 9th firmament of out-of-body stage. He was one of the favorites to win the out-of-body stage competition. What's so arrogant about a mixed-blood dragon? Xiao Shuai scolded. As soon as the words mixed-blood dragon were uttered, the shifters below the stage were in an uproar. Although they knew that the dragon clan was a hybrid and none of their bloodlines were pure, who among the shifters would dare to say it so openly? The dragon clan had always been unwilling to admit this fact. They insisted that they were closer to the true dragon. Now, a kid was brazenly calling them a mixed-blood dragon. It was a huge taboo for the dragon clan. Long Outyin was furious. How dare a lowly shifters look down on the dragon clan? Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents. I must break your legs. Long Outyin roared angrily. Without waiting for the referee to announce the start of the match, his entire body had already surged with a powerful spiritual energy. His arms had even transformed into the shape of a dragon, and he mercilessly grabbed at Xiao Shuai. Everyone's expression changed when they saw Long Outyin attacking a 4- or 5-year-old child. However, it was too late for them to stop him. Long Outyin appeared in front of Xiao Shuai in the blink of an eye. He was going to kill Xiao Shuai. However, Little Handsome shook his arms in disdain and stretched his muscles. Then, his body flashed and a white light appeared all over his body. He disappeared from the spot. Who are you trying to teach a lesson to? Xiao Shuai chuckled. Suddenly, he appeared above Long Outyin and kicked the back of Long Outyin's head. Bang! Before Long Outyin could react, he felt his head sink. A huge force was transmitted from Xiao Shuai's tiny feet to his body. The blood in his body was boiling, and he was sent flying like a broken sandbag. Ah! How is this possible? All the shifters gaped in shock. They could not close their mouths for a long time. This innocent-looking little boy had sent Long Outyin, a 9th celestial stage out of body, flying with a kick? But things were not that simple. Just when everyone thought that Long Outyin would be kicked out of the arena by Xiao Shuai appeared in front of Long Outyin and kicked him back into the Rising Dragon arena. If you want to teach someone a lesson, you need to have the ability to do so, Xiao Shuai said in a childish voice. Then, everyone saw a very strange scene. Long Outyin, a young man who was almost twice as tall as Xiao Shuai, was kicked around the Rising Dragon arena by Xiao Shuai like a broken sandbag, from one side to the other. Xiao Shuai's speed was even faster than Long Outyin's. Before Long Outyin could reach the edge, Xiao Shuai was already waiting for him on the other side of the Rising Dragon arena. After about a quarter of an hour, even the judge was stunned on the spot, unsure if he should call for a stop. The rules of the Rising Dragon League were that one side would lose if they admitted defeat or fell off the Rising Dragon arena. But Long Outyin was being kicked here and there. He did not admit defeat, nor did he fall off the Rising Dragon arena. All he did was scream. The old doctor was also stunned. He had thought that Xiao Shuai was only going up because he wanted to play. Who would have thought that Xiao Shuai would be so agile? His speed was even faster than Long Outyen's. Not bad, little mouse. It's very satisfying to watch, Long Ting praised. Mu Yu was also smiling at the side. He was observing Xiao Shuai's speed and movements. He realized that Xiao Shuai's agility was not weaker than a spirit-severing cultivator. This guy who had no cultivation at all had incredible speed and strength. And this was because Xiao Shuai had held back. Otherwise, Long Outyen would have been crippled with just one kick. Asterisk bang. Asterisk another loud bang rang out. Long Outyen let out a final cry of agony as he fell off the rising dragon arena, smashing a deep crater into the ground. It was as if he had smashed into the hearts of all the spectating Yao clan members. They were truly shocked by this cute and naive child. Was this really something that a child who looked like he was only 3 or 4 years old could do? Xiao Shuai patted the dust off his hands and picked up the shadow clone sword that he had tossed aside. Only then did everyone notice that this child did not even use his magical equipment during the fight. Heavens! Who gave birth to this little monster? He beat the out-of-body Long Outyen into a pile of mush with his bare hands? Well done. Who told him to call us primitive demons lowly? That's right. Old doctor, your Dawn Valley is really amazing. You actually have such a genius child. Yeah. Old doctor, can I move to the Dawn Valley? Most of the primitive demons who lived elsewhere were full of admiration for Xiao Shuai. It was a miracle that the Dawn Valley could produce such a genius child. Old doctor, is this really a child from the Dawn Valley? Some of the demons were still in disbelief. The old doctor coughed twice and puffed out his chest. He said seriously, that's right. He's a genius child from the Dawn Valley. We have many more of such geniuses in the Dawn Valley. Too many to count. This time, the old doctor did not blush. Instead, he was very proud. He continued, with Lord True Dragon, the Dawn Valley will have many more geniuses like him in the future. Heavens! This is all thanks to Lord True Dragon. Yeah. The spectating demons were all in awe. The primitive demons who did not belong to the Dawn Valley were especially envious. They could not wait to join the Dawn Valley. As for the dragons, their expressions were extremely ugly. Many of them surrounded Long Outyen and carefully checked his condition. They realized that Long Outyen had already suffered a concussion from Xiao Shuai's kick. Evil brat, how dare you hit him so hard? A dragon with fangs in his mouth stood up angrily and reprimanded Xiao Shuai on the stage. Everyone looked at this member of the dragon clan with strange gazes. This fellow actually dared to shamelessly say such things? Hey, you dragons are too arrogant, aren't you? Just now, Long Outyen wanted to kill this kid. He was so arrogant that he wanted to break this kid's legs. You, a man in your 20s, dared to say such harsh words. In the end, you were beaten to a pulp by a 4 or 5-year-old child. It's fine that you're not as skilled as him, but you even jumped out to criticize him. Are you people of the dragon clan so shameless? The dragon with fangs said angrily, Who do you think you are? How dare you insult us dragons? You lowly race. The onlookers below the stage were unhappy. The dragon race was arrogant and despotic, looking down on the primitive demon race. If it was a normal time, perhaps everyone would swallow their anger. After all, the Azure Dragon dynasty was originally dominated by the dragon race. However, it was different now. You people of the dragon clan have really forgotten your roots. Lowly? Have you forgotten that half of your ancestors were primitive demons? That's right. A true dragon has appeared in the Valley of Dawn. He has a pure bloodline and advocates equality between demons. What right do you, people with impure bloodlines, have to look down on us? That's right. You dragons are so shameless. Your ancestors were the same as us. The primitive Fey clansmen began to curse in dissatisfaction, and the entire arena was thrown into chaos. There were even primitive Fey clansmen and dragon clansmen who were wrestling with one another. The Rising Dragon League's competition was no longer limited to the stage, but had spread to the audience as well. Even the referee's announcement of Little Commander's victory was drowned out by the vehement curses. This is so fun. Now everyone can participate in the Rising Dragon League. This is the real annual meeting, the biggest entertainment for all. Xiao Shuai jumped to Mu Yu's side and stuffed the Shadow Clone sword into Mu Yu's hands. Mu Yu didn't care about the demons fighting. He had no interest in mediating. He pinched Xiao Shuai's cheeks and asked, "Xiao Shuai, I don't think you're at the out-of-body stage, right?" "That's right. Don't I usually beat up big earthworms until they're looking for their teeth on the ground? What's so strange about that?" Xiao Shuai pulled out a drumstick from somewhere. "Little rat, when have I ever lost to you in a fight?" Long Ting shouted. Xiao Shuai's strength and speed were comparable to a severed soul cultivator. He was more than capable of fighting an out-of-body stage. More importantly, no one would say that he broke the rules because he really didn't have a cultivation base. He won purely by speed. "What's going on here? All of you, stop!" A loud voice rang in everyone's ears. The Jade Flood Dragon's figure appeared in the crowd. His surging aura intimidated everyone, causing everyone to stop. "My lord, you must uphold justice for us. These lowly people dared to sneak attack us." The Fang dragon, who had been the loudest, just now cried out with a swollen face. One of his fangs had been broken. "Are you lowly primitives trying to rebel?" The Jade Flood Dragon coldly scanned the demons, his voice filled with killing intent. Chapter 771. I just heard someone say that dragons are shameless. Was that you? Jade Jiao Dragon waved its hand and grabbed a man with a frightened look on his face. "You're just a lowly steel Kirin panther. Do you have a problem with that?" Jade Serpent asked coldly. I. The big man was so scared that his face turned pale. He kept struggling in the air. "I don't think he said anything wrong when he said that you dragons are shameless." Mu Yu suddenly flicked a reed from her hand and flew straight towards the Jade Flood Dragon. Jade Serpent snorted and was about to destroy the reed. However, when he saw that it was Mu Yu who attacked and recalled the desolate ruins poison in the reed, his expression changed. He didn't dare to take the attack directly and retreated. The big man in his hand was saved by Mu Yu. "Mu Yu, do you want to die?" Jade Serpent glared at Mu Yu. The reed flew a circle in the air and returned to Mu Yu's hand. "What? Do you have a problem with that?" Dragon Vine jumped out of Mu Yu's body and enlarged in the air. She stared at Jade Serpent majestically. Jade Serpent's expression changed. "Ah, Master True Dragon. It's Master True Dragon. It really is Master True Dragon." All the primitive demons looked at Dragon Vine in the air in awe. Dragon Vine was the advocate of the idea of equality between demons and demons. She had the support of all primitive demons. Dragon Vine snorted at Jade Serpent. Then, with a flash of green light, she turned into a lazy but arrogant young man and confronted Jade Serpent in the crowd. "You must be joking, Master True Dragon." Jade Serpent forced a smile and bowed slightly. "It's one thing for you mixed-blood dragons to be arrogant, but you're going back on your words after losing a competition. Are dragons all sore losers?" Dragon Vine stared at Jade Serpent. The Jade Serpent put on a fake smile and said, "You're mistaken, Lord True Dragon. A loss is a loss and a win is a win. I only came here to check the situation because of the chaos." "So what did you see? Tell me about it?" Mu Yu asked leisurely as he twirled the reed in his hand. The Jade Flood Dragon looked at the reed in Mu Yu's hand in fear. Holding back its anger, it said, "Mu Yu, this is a conversation between me and Master True Dragon. You have no right to interrupt." "But your people are bullying my little brother." As his big brother, I can't just sit by and watch. Mu Yu put one hand on little Shuai's shoulder and lightly said, "That's right. Your Long Outian was defeated by me, and the others are still looking for trouble with me. You bunch of mixed-blood dragons are so thick-skinned." Little Shuai gnawed on a drumstick and said incoherently. Everyone was secretly worried for little Shuai. This little kid dared to call a mixed-blood dragon shameless in front of the Crossing Calamity stage Jade Flood Dragon. He was really bold. Long Balian, what happened just now? Tell us what happened. We, the Dragon Clan, do things in an open and above-board manner. We can't afford to lose. The Jade Jiao Dragon looked at Long Balian, whose fangs were broken. When Long Balian heard the Jade Flood Dragon's words, it was as if he had found a backer. He covered his mouth and said righteously, "It was that little brat who didn't show mercy. He injured Long Outian and insulted us." "You're talking nonsense. It's you dragons who insulted us primitive demons first." Madame Zhu in the crowd gathered her courage and said. But when the Jade Flood Dragon swept its gaze over her, she was so scared that she shrank behind Uncle Toad. Long Ting looked at Long Balian with contempt and said, "I saw everything just now. Who do you think you are? How dare you distort right and wrong in front of me? We are all monsters, we should treat all monsters as equals. You dragons keep calling other monsters lowly, looking down on other monsters and destroying the unity of the races. Do you think the Azure Dragon Monster King will let you go?" When this big hat was placed on Long Balian's head, Long Balian jumped in fright. "You are not a monster. You are just a lowly outsider. What right do you have to lecture us? What right do you have to lead the monster race?" Slap! Mu Yu suddenly slapped Long Balian's face and broke his remaining fangs. Not only that, half of Long Balian's face swelled up like a pig's head. You dare to hit me!" Long Balian was shocked and furious. The Azure Dragon Monster King once said that the future successor of the Azure Dragon dynasty must be a true dragon. It doesn't matter where he comes from. You spoke without thinking and provoked the Azure Dragon Monster King's decree. You deserve to be punished. Jade Jiao Dragon, are all your subordinates so lawless? Mu Yu looked at Jade Jiao Dragon provocatively. "Patriarch, he hit me. You have to seek justice for me." Long Balian cried with snot and tears. Slap! Another crisp slap sounded. The other side of Long Balian's face also swelled up. He looked at the person who slapped him in disbelief. This time, it was Jade Jiao Dragon who slapped him. "Lord True Dragon, please forgive me. My people speak without thinking and have no regard for the law. They deserve to die. We monsters need to unite. Everyone's goal is to strengthen the monster race, resist the humans together and leave this wasteland. Don't you think so, little friend Mu Yu?" Jade Jiao Dragon asked with a fake smile. Mu Yu came from the human race. Jade Jiao Dragon deliberately pointed out the conflict between the human race and the monster race so that Mu Yu, as a human, could answer. If Mu Yu stood on the side of the human race, then Jade Jiao Dragon would be able to use this opportunity. After all, this was the territory of the monster race. But if Mu Yu spoke on behalf of the monster race, then it would be the same as humiliating Mu Yu. No matter how one looked at it, Mu Yu was at a disadvantage. 1,000 miles of dike can be destroyed by an ant's nest. If the monster race doesn't clean up those arrogant pests, they will be trapped in this wasteland for the rest of their lives. If the monster race wants to fight for territory with the human race, it won't work by relying on those despicable people who play dirty tricks. No matter the time, the most important thing is to be united. The human race has always been united. If the monster race discriminates against their own people, then they won't be able to compete with the human race. Therefore, those pests who destroy the unity must be cleaned up. Don't you think so, Jade Jiao Dragon? Mu Yu retorted unhurriedly. Mu Yu's answer hit the nail on the head. He was neither biased towards the human race nor the monster race. He was only stating a well-known truth. The human race was very powerful. If the monster race didn't unite, they couldn't fight against the human race. That's right. Therefore, Lord True Dragon advocates for the equality of the monster race. It is for the rise of the monster race. The old doctor said seriously. That's right. Equality of the monster race. Equality of the monster race. It's time for you dragons to change your arrogance. Why are you looking down on us? All the primitive monster race members shouted crazily, condemning the dragon race. The situation went out of control again. The powerful aura of Jade Jiao Dragon didn't seem to affect them anymore. Jade Jiao Dragon didn't expect that his original intention to humiliate Mu Yu would be exposed by Mu Yu. It was as if Jade Jiao Dragon had shot himself in the foot. He was very angry right now. If he didn't handle today's matter well, the Azure Dragon Monster King would definitely punish him when he returned. Jade Jiao Dragon's face twitched. He put on a fake smile again and said, Mu Yu is right. Long Balian did cross the line today. I have already taught him a lesson. The Rising Dragon League will continue. Everyone disperse. Jade Jiao Dragon walked to Dragonting and said with a smile, Lord True Dragon is the hope of our Azure Dragon dynasty. However, I am still looking forward to Lord True Dragon's performance in the Rising Dragon League. With Lord True Dragon's strength, please don't fail. Otherwise, the monster race will be disappointed. Jade Jiao Dragon's smile contained endless threats. The 4 dragon races were all prepared for Dragonting's participation in the Rising Dragon League. Dragonting wanted to lead the primitive monster race against the 4 dragon races. How could the 4 dragon races be willing to accept that? Right now, all the primitive monster race had high hopes for Dragonting. They hoped that Dragonting could demonstrate extraordinary strength and lead the primitive monster race to the Azure Dragon dynasty, where all monsters were equal. If Longting was defeated by the 4 great dragon clans at this time, then it would be a huge blow to the primitive demon clans. This was because this was equivalent to questioning the strength of Lord True Dragon, Longting. It would also give the demon clans, who still had hope for Longting, an illusion that true dragons were inferior to dragons. Therefore, the 4 dragon races wouldn't let Dragonting win. I won't let a mixed-blood dragon run rampant, Dragonting declared proudly. Jade Jiao Dragon's face twitched again. The word, mixed-blood dragon, infuriated him, but he decided to ignore Dragonting's words at this moment. Jade Jiao Dragon squinted at Mu Yu, who had been playing with the reed in his hand. He was quite wary of the reed. The reed near the swamp of the desolate ruins had left a deep impression on Jade Jiao Dragon. He had intended to kill the old doctor, but he had been poisoned by more poison of the desolate ruins instead. In the end, he had even taken a poison that was not effective. As a result, the poison went out of control and he had to sacrifice a certain part of his body. Jade Jiao Dragon was infuriated when he recalled the self-mutilation he had done to detoxify the poison. I also hope that my young friend Mu Yu can distinguish himself in the Rising Dragon League and show us what a human young friend who has rescued 2 demon kings is capable of. Don't just use the poison of the desolate ruins to win the competition. That's not honorable at all. Jade Jiao Dragon was furious, but he still put on a fake smile. Mu Yu played with the reed in his hand. The reed circled around his fingertips easily. How can I possibly use poison to deal with some clowns in the Rising Dragon arena? Mu Yu stroked the reed pole with both hands and gently bent it. Puff. The reed was broken into 2 pieces, but the yellow poison of the desolate ruins that frightened Jade Jiao Dragon didn't spread out from the reed. This was nothing more than an ordinary reed pole. Don't you think so? Jade Jiao Dragon. Mu Yu smiled and threw the broken reed at Jade Jiao Dragon's feet. Chapter 772. How could a crossing calamity stage expert be scared off by an ordinary reed pole? The onlookers were already puzzled by the Jade Serpent's sudden retreat. Now that they realized what had happened, they looked at the Jade Serpent with even stranger expressions. The Jade Serpent was furious. It had wanted to intimidate Mu Yu in public, but who would have thought that Mu Yu would defuse it so cleverly? Not only that, but it was also toyed with by Mu Yu, causing it to lose face. It was the first time anyone had seen a tribulation-passing stage expert scared off with an ordinary reed pole. I hope you can do the same on the stage. The Jade Serpent snorted angrily. It knew that it would become a joke if it stayed any longer, so it turned around and left. In the distance, the other 3 dragon chiefs looked at each other imperceptibly. They had already noticed the abnormality, but they were more sensible and did not come over to ask for a rebuff like the Jade Serpent. The storm of the Valley of Dawn's little prodigy had come to an end, but the competition on the Rising Dragon arena continued. However, Xiao Shuai, who was by Mu Yu's side, became the focus of everyone's attention. A little boy who looked like he was only 4 or 5 years old had defeated an out-of-body Dragon Clan expert. Such terrifying potential was truly astonishing. The little prodigy from the Valley of Dawn was truly an eye-opener. The primitive demons were also talking about how Mu Yu toyed with the tribulation-passing stage Jade Serpent with an ordinary reed pole. After all, there had never been a primitive demon that could make the Jade Serpent, one of the 4 great dragon clans, suffer such humiliation. Mu Yu's actions made the primitive demons, who were usually angry but did not dare to speak out, feel relieved. Did you see the Jade Serpent's expression? It looked like it had eaten shit. Xiao Shuai returned to his tent and laughed. Xiao Shui smiled as well. Mu Yu's actions were indeed very satisfying. The Jade Serpent was now in a state of panic. The desolate ruins poison had left too much of a psychological shadow on it, so much so that it did not even dare to take an ordinary reed pole head-on. But don't let your guard down. The Jade Serpent is a very vengeful person, said Xiao Shui. No matter how many come, we'll kill them all. There's no hurry, Longting said disdainfully. Mu Yu sat there and pondered for a moment before saying, Longting, you have to win. Don't think about relying on your own strength. This competition is no longer just a battle that belongs to you. Everyone is looking forward to your performance. You have to set an example. Dragon Ting muttered to herself for a while before nodding. I got it. Blast them with lightning the moment we come up. Outside, there was still a hubbub of voices. Everyone was cheering for the Yao clansmen who were participating in the competition. The old doctor hurriedly walked in and said, Little friend Mu Yu, your match will be held in an hour. Your opponent is Long Qi of the demonic dragon Python clan. Lord True Dragon's opponent is the Hidden Forest Black Tiger clan's Long Wen Mao. You have to be careful of these 2 opponents. Mu Yu's opponent is Long 7? Xiao Shui asked in astonishment. What's wrong? Mu Yu asked casually. Xiao Shui said, Long 7 got 2nd place in the body integration stage last year. His cultivation is only at the 8th heavenly layer of the body integration stage, but he has 80% true dragon bloodline. He needs to be taken seriously. The old doctor said, Xiao Shui, you're wrong. When you left the Yao clan, Long 7 had already reached the 9th heavenly layer of the body integration stage. This year, he will be competing with Long Feiying of the Winged Dragon clan. Long Feiying was last year's body integration stage champion. He's 42 years old and is said to be the Dragon Clan member most likely to reach the Transcending Tribulation stage. As long as Long Feiying reaches the Transcending Tribulation stage, the overall strength of the Purple Lightning Winged Dragon Clan will be stronger than the other 3 Dragon Clans. Mu Yu didn't care much about this. He was more concerned about Long Ting's opponent. What kind of opponent is Long Wen Mao? The old doctor and Xiao Shui looked at each other and said seriously, Long Wen Mao was last year's spirit-severing stage champion. Not only that, He has been the champion of the spirit severing stage for 3 consecutive years. 3 years ago, Long Wen Mao was only at the 4th heavenly layer of the spirit severing stage, but he still defeated an opponent at the 9th heavenly layer of the spirit severing stage. During the bloodline test a while ago, he was tested to have 90% true dragon bloodline. He has already surpassed Long Xingyun. 90% true dragon bloodline. Now that Long Xingyun was dead, there was no doubt about Long Wen Mao's potential. To be able to become the champion of the spirit severing stage for 3 consecutive years, he was really strong. Qiao Shui continued. Long Xingyun also had 90% true dragon bloodline, but this guy's strength was too weak. In terms of true strength, Long Xingyun was no match for Long Wen Mao. Rumor has it that Long Wen Mao defeated an opponent at the 1st heavenly layer of the spirit severing stage. Long Wen Mao had already obtained 3 dragon scales, and Long Xingyun's dragon scales were given by the Jade Flood Dragon. Long Ting rubbed his chin. So my first opponent is the strongest in the spirit severing stage? Big Earthworm is too useless. If I had known earlier, I would have participated in the spirit severing stage competition. Out-of-body stage is too weak. It's not challenging at all. Xiao Shui said regretfully. Long Outyan was beaten up by him just now, and he still felt that it was not enough. Bah, you're useless. It's just a mixed blood dragon. I can take care of it in minutes, Long Ting scolded. Mu Yu, I'm worried about you the most. They don't dare to kill Long Ting in front of everyone, but when they deal with you, they will definitely kill you. So, you have to be careful. Qiao Shui said. Mu Yu smiled. What's wrong? Do you still have so little confidence in me? Don't forget that I'm not someone to be trifled with. Qiao Shui thought of the killing power in Mu Ling and felt a little relieved. That power was really terrifying. With Mu Yu's current cultivation, if he used the killing power, he wouldn't be afraid of a true tribulation passing stage expert. As for Long Qi, he didn't need to worry too much. I'm always worried that something will happen. The 4 dragon races clearly want to deal with you. Long Qi must have prepared a lot of magic treasures to deal with you. So, Long Qi isn't fighting alone. You're fighting against the 4 dragon races alone. Qiao Shui continued. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Black and white spiritual energy flashed through Mu Yu's fingertip. He never knew what fear was. Except for the 4 dragon race leaders, the rest of the monster clan were nothing. An hour passed quickly. The old doctor took them to the Rising Dragon Arena again. The monster clan was familiar with Long Qi, but they didn't know much about Mu Yu, a foreign human. So, everyone's focus was still on Long Qi. It's Long Qi. He was the second in last year's combination stage competition. The young human who saved the 2 monster kings should have a high cultivation, right? He's just a disgusting human. How powerful can he be? A puny human wants to fight with us dragon race? He's courting death. Hey, what's so great about you dragon race? Don't forget, Mu Yu also saved Lord True Dragon. True Dragon? He? What's with your attitude? How dare you look down on Lord True Dragon? Lord True Dragon mentioned that all monsters should be treated as equals. You dragon race should reflect on yourselves. The competition hadn't started yet, but the primitive monster clan and dragon race were already at each other's throat. The atmosphere was even more tense than on the stage. Most of the people who spoke up for Mu Yu were monster clan members from the Valley of Dawn. The dragon race, on the other hand, saw Mu Yu as a thorn in their side. The conflicts among the monster clan were difficult to resolve. The dragon race had always looked down on other races, whether they were primitive monster clan members or humans. Mu Yu slowly walked up to the Rising Dragon Arena and looked at Long Qi, who had a look of disdain on his face. Long Qi was 41 years old, but because of the age of the Yao clan, 41 years old was still considered young, which made Mu Yu feel very strange. My opponent is actually a human. What an insult! Long 7 sneered condescendingly. Mu Yu just smiled faintly and ignored Long Chi's provocation. He was waiting for the referee to start. He didn't need to waste his breath to deal with this kind of small fry. Long Chi continued, I don't care what a disgusting human like you did before. I just want to tell you that you are nothing in front of me. Mu Yu still didn't respond to Long Chi. Instead, he turned to the referee and asked, Can we start now? The referee said, Not yet. A competition in the form synthesis stage requires 2 referees to monitor it together. I just received a notice that there is something wrong with one of the referees. We need to wait for a while. Long Chi laughed wildly. What? Are you that impatient to seek death? Or are you so eager to kneel in front of me and beg for mercy? Mu Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest, lowered his head slightly, and closed his eyes to rest. Long Chi saw that his provocation was ignored by Mu Yu. He continued to sneer. What? Are you so scared that you don't even dare to speak? Coward! I thought you were very powerful. It turns out that you don't even dare to speak. What a piece of trash. Mu Yu still didn't say anything. Long Chi became more and more arrogant. Usually, no casualties are allowed in the Rising Dragon League of previous years. However, I think that if someone overestimates himself and stands on the Rising Dragon platform, he should be taught a lesson. I want you to understand that the Rising Dragon platform of the Demon Clan is not a place that any Tom, Dick, or Harry can enter. Mu Yu didn't respond to Long Chi's provocation. The onlookers of the Dragon Clan also began to mock him. What's going on? Is this human youth so cowardly? Is he so scared that he can't even speak? Don't you know who his opponent is? He is the leader of the younger generation of the Demon Clan. Long Chi, who has reached the 9th heaven of the form synthesis stage at the age of 41. I guess that human must have been scared out of his wits after hearing Long Chi's name. Ha ha ha. Long Chi will teach that human a lesson. Let him understand that the Demon Clan's territory is not a place where a human like him can enter. Countless mocking laughter came from below the platform. They were all from the Dragon Clan who were wantonly belittling Mu Yu and looking down on Mu Yu. These Dragon Clan members had always been arrogant. They even looked down on other primitive demon clansmen of the same origin, let alone a human. A 41-year-old young man? Mu Yu couldn't help but laugh. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. There was a little accident with the original judge of this competition, so I was asked to be the temporary judge. Jade Jiao Dragon's voice suddenly came from below the platform. Then, he appeared in the judge's seat. Mu Yu opened his eyes and caught a glimpse of Jade Jiao Dragon. Although he was a little surprised, he wasn't surprised. This was a premeditated competition. In order to ensure that they could defeat Mu Yu, even Jade Jiao Dragon was arranged to be the judge. It was no longer a fair competition. When Jade Jiao Dragon saw Mu Yu, he deliberately pretended to be surprised. My young friend Mu Yu, so you are the judge of this competition. Oh, what a coincidence. It's rare to see my young friend Mu Yu shine. Mu Yu smiled calmly. I will announce the rules of the competition again. The Desolate Ruins poison is something that we demon clansmen hate the most. Therefore, if anyone uses the Desolate Ruins poison to hurt others, they will be severely punished. Jade Jiao Dragon said loudly. He glanced at Mu Yu from the corner of his eyes and then continued with a strange smile. Chapter 773. The battle between Mu Yu and Long Chi had attracted the attention of many demons. Most of them had come because of Long Chi's reputation. Long Chi was one of the best of the younger generation of demons. He was also one of the candidates to win the Rising Dragon League. His battle would definitely be spectacular. Even the primitive demons would not want to miss it. After all, this was a stage for geniuses. It was a pleasure to watch the younger generation. Long Qi sneered. Kid, I'll teach you a lesson today. Don't make a fool of yourself if you're not strong enough. 2 golden dragon scales suddenly appeared in Long Qi's hands. The scales emitted a sacred and majestic light. As soon as the scales appeared, a dragon's roar reverberated around the rising dragon arena. Every dragon below the arena was stunned. However, the primitive dragon's expressions changed immediately. Some of the demons from the Valley of Dawn shouted, "Shameless!" Green Dragon Patriarch clearly said that no one is allowed to rely on external forces on the rising dragon arena. You're still using dragon scales? That's right. That's ridiculous. No one has ever dared to use dragon scales in the past. As a member of the Dragon Clan, you're taking the lead to violate the rules set by Green Dragon Patriarch? The primitive demon clansmen began to curse. The dragon scales were personally refined by the Azure Dragon Demon King. They contained powerful dragon essence, and could allow one to unleash a powerful attack that was beyond one's cultivation level in an instant. They could be used to attack or retreat. Especially for the dragon clansmen, their value was self-evident. Not to mention that Long Qi had taken out 2 dragon scales at once. With 2 dragon scales, Long Qi's strength was comparable to an early-stage crossing tribulation self-cultivator. Long Qi said unhurriedly, "The Rising Dragon League originally did not allow humans to participate. This human's appearance here has already changed the rules. Since the rules have been changed, why can't I use dragon scales? Not only that, I'm going to kill you." Long Qi's aura surged. The clothes on his arm were torn apart. The 2 dragon scales were tightly attached to the back of his hand and merged with him. His body also emitted a dazzling light. His cultivation level was no longer at the 9th heavenly layer of the combination realm. "Wait," Mu Yu suddenly said. "What? Do you want to kneel and beg for mercy? If you kneel down and beg for mercy right now, I can consider letting you off," Long Seven said with a vicious smile. "You just said you wanted to kill me. Is it allowed to kill on the Rising Dragon Arena?" Mu Yu pretended to be curious and asked. Draconic Seven's face froze. The Rising Dragon League's competition was all about stopping after a certain point, and no one was allowed to die. However, when he thought of the fact that he had 2 dragon scales from Patriarch Azure Dragon, the other 4 Patriarchs' request, and the Jade Jiao Dragon as the judge, he was almost certain that he would win the competition. Long Seven laughed loudly and said, "On the Rising Dragon Arena, life and death are not important, only victory and defeat. The rule of not going too far is set by the Demon Clan. You are not a Demon Clan member, so you are not bound by this rule. So it should be fine for me to kill him, right? Jade Jiao Dragon?" Mu Yu turned his head and looked at Jade Jiao Dragon in a mocking manner. Mu Yu's idea was simple. He wanted Jade Flood Dragon, the judge, to confirm the rules in front of everyone. Jade Jiao Dragon's eyes were filled with killing intent, but his face was calm as he said, "Since Draconic 7 has said that life and death are not important, only victory and defeat are important. We won't pursue the matter no matter who dies on the arena today." He was very confident in Draconic 7, who had 2 dragon scales from Patriarch Azure Dragon. "I see." Mu Yu nodded thoughtfully. "Human coward, die." Draconic 7's hands had transformed into sharp dragon claws. His body was as fast as lightning, leaving behind a golden afterimage as he charged toward Mu Yu mercilessly. Meanwhile, Mu Yu had already grasped the Shadow Clone Sword. The seal in the Shadow Clone Sword that blocked Mu Ling had long disappeared, and a terrifying killing intent spread out from Mu Yu's body. Mu Yu slowly raised his head and said, "This makes things easier." His voice was bone-chilling, like ice that had not melted for 1,000 years, causing everyone present to shiver. It was a sunny day, but the spectators felt as if they had suddenly stepped into winter from summer. Draconic 7 vaguely felt that something was wrong. He met Mu Yu's eyes and his heart skipped a beat. The pair of eyes had already changed form. The left eye was glowing with white light, while the right eye was glowing with black cold light. There was no emotion in it. It was not a human's eyes, nor was it a demon's eyes. What's going on? Draconic 7 felt as if he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. His entire body turned cold. When he came back to his senses, he realized that a black and white sword tip had pierced through his chest. You. Draconic 7 widened his eyes in horror. He did not know how Muyu did it. Muyu was still standing on the same spot, holding the black and white flying sword. He did not even move, but why did he feel a sharp pain in his chest? Bang! Draconic 7's figure fell from midair and fell to the ground. He looked at his chest again. Where was the sword tip? But why was there a bloody hole left? Muyu appeared next to Long Qi in the blink of an eye. He stepped on Long Qi's chest. His expression returned to normal. The black and white light disappeared. Even the horrible murderous intent disappeared. It was as if it had never existed. You said so many nasty things just now, but I did not want to respond to you. It was because I did not want to waste my breath on a clown. People who talk too much usually die quickly. You are nothing in front of me. Don't be too self-righteous. Muyu's shadow clone sword glowed with a green light in the air. He revealed a sarcastic smile. Also, in our human race, only those who are below 40 years old are called the younger generation. The shadow clone's sword slid down in the air, and Draconic 7 widened his eyes in horror. Only now did he understand what kind of person his opponent was. Originally, he thought that he would be able to humiliate Muyu in every possible way, torturing Muyu to death, but he never imagined that he wouldn't even be able to withstand a single move from Muyu. Thinking back to his arrogant and despotic mockery just now, he even overestimated himself and changed the rules of the Rising Dragon Arena. Only then did he realize how laughable he was. If he was given another chance, he would never be so stupid as to break the rules. Draconic 7 wanted to say something, but he could no longer speak. Stop! Jade Jiao Dragon shouted anxiously. It suddenly flew up and grabbed at Muyu. But it was too late. Draconic 7's head flew high from the Rising Dragon Arena toward Jade Jiao Dragon. Jade Jiao Dragon subconsciously reached out and grabbed Draconic 7's head. Silence. Below the arena, both primitive demons and dragons were stunned. They looked at the young human on the arena in disbelief. Draconic 7, who was arrogant and mocking Muyu, was killed by Muyu in one move? That was Draconic 7. Just now, he had used 2 pieces of Ancestor Green Dragon's dragon scales. 1 dragon scale was enough to drive the monster race crazy. When Long Qi took out 2 dragon scales, everyone thought that the result of this competition was obvious. Muyu of the human clan would definitely die. But they did not expect Draconic 7, who had 2 dragon scales, to die. How did Muyu do it? That was the question in everyone's mind. They only felt a terrifying murderous intent. Muyu only pulled out his sword. He did not even move his sword. Everyone only saw a ripple in the air, and then Draconic 7's chest was pierced by a black and white sword tip. He fell down, and then Draconic 7's head fell into Jade Jiao Dragon's hand. Everything happened in a flash. Even Jade Jiao Dragon, who was in the crossing calamity stage, could not stop it. The demons looked at each other in disbelief. Gulp! Someone swallowed his saliva and made a clear sound. Jade Jiao Dragon looked at Draconic 7's head in his hand. Even though he was in the crossing calamity stage, he was still stunned for a moment. He was shocked by the bleeding head in his hand. Then, he came back to his senses and threw Draconic 7's head on the ground. He shouted angrily, "How dare you kill a demon!" Jade Jiao Dragon's crossing calamity stage cultivation was fully unleashed. He suddenly attacked Muyu. A terrifying pressure swept over. He did not care about the rules of the Rising Dragon Arena and directly attacked to kill. Muyu narrowed his eyes. Jade Jiao Dragon was a genuine crossing calamity stage self-cultivator. He did not have the desolate ruins poison that Jade Jiao Dragon was afraid of, so he had to be careful. The cold murderous intent covered the entire Rising Dragon arena again. The black and white sword energy swept out violently. The endless killing power met Jade Jiao Dragon and collided violently with him. Bang! Mu Yu and Jade Jiao Dragon both took half a step back. Although it was only half a step, this half a step was enough to shock everyone once again. The Jade Jiao Dragon was the leader of the Dragon Clan who was at the Tribulation Passing stage. He was extremely powerful and was one of the 4 strongest experts below the Demon King realm. However, when he fought against Mu Yu made the Jade Jiao Dragon retreat half a step? What? Since when can judges participate in the Rising Dragon Assembly of the Demon Race? What a magical assembly! I've always been curious as to why the Dragon Race always wins first place every year. So it's because of the interference of the judges. Mu Yu's voice was neither loud nor soft. It was just enough to reach the ears of all the demon race, especially the primitive demon race. After hearing Mu Yu's words, they were even more shocked and doubtful. Jade Jiao Dragon, can you be any more despicable? As a judge, you dare to attack a member of the Rising Dragon Assembly? You've crossed the line. Mu Yu is right. Don't tell me that every year, your Dragon Clan wins first place with the help of the judges? The old doctor suddenly shouted. Humph! He killed a member of the demon race. I'm standing up for the demon race. Jade Jiao Dragon shouted angrily. You've crossed the line. Just now, Long Qi said that on the Rising Dragon Arena, there's no life or death, only victory or defeat. What right do you have to attack Mu Yu? Madame Zhu's voice was the loudest. That's right. I seriously suspect that there's an inside story behind the Rising Dragon Assembly in the past years. You've been manipulating the Rising Dragon Assembly from the shadows. Shameless. Sir Tian Can was also agitated. Spittle flew everywhere as he cursed. This is too unfair. What's the point of the Rising Dragon Assembly? Uncle Toad shouted in a low, muffled voice. Long Qi's death did not arouse any sympathy from the primitive demon race. The dragon race had always been arrogant and domineering. They had a deep conflict with the primitive demon race. The primitive demon race could not wait for the dragon race to lose members. The other demon race members of the Valley of Dawn also began to curse. The primitive demon race members who did not belong to the Valley of Dawn were also furious. Every year, it was always the dragon race that shone brightly in the Rising Dragon Assembly. There were almost no primitive demon race members in the top 3. Now that Mu Yu had reminded them, everyone began to doubt the fairness of the Rising Dragon Assembly. The Rising Dragon Assembly became noisy again. The dragon race and primitive demon race members began to curse each other again. The scene fell into chaos once more. Since the Azure Dragon Dynasty's development, there were about 10 million people. Among them, 80% were dragon race members and 20% were primitive demon race members. Although primitive demon race members were few in number, it still meant that there were about 2 million of them. This was not a small number. The number of people who came to watch the Rising Dragon Assembly was no less than 10,000. Therefore, once the primitive demon race became noisy, they could be considered a considerable force. Although the dragon race looked down on primitive demon race members, it was impossible for them to completely wipe them out. Chapter 774. More and more demonic beasts were attracted to the Rising Dragon League due to the repeated riots. Every demonic beast was trying to find out what was going on. After finding out that the Jade Jiao Dragon had interfered in the competition and that everyone was suspecting that the Rising Dragon League was manipulating things behind the scenes, all the primitive demonic beasts immediately joined in the condemnation. Mu Yu and the Jade Jiao Dragon were still confronting each other in the air. The Jade Jiao dragon's aura was ruthless while Mu Yu's aura was cold. They had become the focus of all the demonic beasts. In the distance, the purple lightning-winged dragon, He Hulong, and Long Keshuang were also very shocked. According to the plan, the three patriarchs had sent the Jade Jiao dragon to deliberately make things difficult for Mu Yu. During the competition between Mu Yu and Long Qi, the Jade Jiao dragon would secretly find an opportunity to help Long Qi kill Mu Yu. However, they did not expect things to develop unexpectedly. Mu Yu's speed was too fast and he killed Long Qi directly. Even the Jade Jiao dragon did not have the chance to attack. The three patriarchs originally wanted to pretend that they did not see anything and let the Jade Jiao dragon handle it on its own. However, the situation was getting out of hand and it seriously interfered with the competition on the Rising Dragon arena. Therefore, the other three patriarchs had to show up. Everyone, quiet down. What happened here? He Hulong's voice was as loud and clear as a large bell, covering all the noise. At the same time, the aura on his body also spread out, intimidating everyone. All the noise stopped, no one dared to make a sound. A lowly human like him actually killed a member of the dragon clan. The Jade Jiao dragon said angrily. Young friend Mu Yu, why did you kill him? You have to give us an explanation. He Hulong said solemnly. You don't know what Long Qi did? Mu Yu sneered. He Hulong said seriously. I don't know what Long Qi did, but you have to give us an explanation for killing him. When Long Keshuang saw Long Qi's corpse, she was also enraged. Long Qi was a member of her clan. He was originally sent to kill Mu Yu. Even if he couldn't win, he wanted to waste Mu Yu's experience and let Mu Yu be killed by Long Feiying in the following competition. For this, Long Keshuang even gave Long Qi 2 true dragon scales. However, they never expected that Long Qi, whom they had high hopes for, would be killed by Mu Yu before he could even make a move. Mu Yu of the human race. You killed our demon race, you deserve to die. Long Keshuang stood beside the Jade Flood Dragon and furiously shouted. Mu Yu's body was still emitting a cold killing intent. Can referees participate in the competition? Or do you take your own words as bullshit? Are all of you Dragon Clan members shameless and unscrupulous? How dare you? Long Keshuang was about to make a move, but Long Ting's figure had already appeared beside Mu Yu. She angrily roared, Mixed blood dragon, when can you be so shameless? Long Keshuang forcefully resisted the urge to make a move. If she made a move against the true dragon in public, everyone would think that she was being disrespectful to the Lord True Dragon. If anything happened to the True Dragon in the future, she would definitely be the first to take the blame. Lord True Dragon, the Rising Dragon Arena has never been a battle of life and death. Mu Yu of the human race killed our demon race, you can't be biased. Long Keshuang said in a deep voice. Biased your sister? How can you be so shameless? Long Qi, that mixed blood dragon, had said very clearly that the life and death arena doesn't care about life and death, only the winner and loser. Do you think all the demon race here are fools? Long Ting scolded without holding back. When Long Keshuang heard Long Ting's unpleasant scolding, her expression also froze. She was indeed very old, but she maintained her appearance very well. As a woman, who would be willing to be scolded by others? If it was any other time, she would have already killed everyone, but the one scolding her was Long Ting. Even if she had a myriad of anger in her heart, she could only forcefully suppress it. Lord True Dragon must be joking. I didn't watch the battle just now, so I don't know what happened. Long Keshuang pursed her lips and said. She thought that her target was Long Ting, so she secretly told herself not to be impulsive. Everything could wait until she found an opportunity to secretly capture Long Ting. Mu Yu withdrew his killing power. Every time he used this power, some of the emotions in his mind would be swallowed up, which he didn't like very much. If you don't know the situation, then don't speak. As a dragon patriarch, wanting to kill people without any reason. This is the characteristic of a shrew, not the image of a dragon patriarch. Don't you think so, Long Kushwang? Mu Yu said indifferently. You're courting death. Long Kushwang's anger had already accumulated to the extreme. If it wasn't for the fact that so many clansmen were present today, she would have already rushed over to kill Mu Yu. Mu Yu, you must be joking. Since Long Qi didn't care about the rules of the competition and used an external force, using the dragon scale, and even made a life and death promise, then dying in the hands of little friend Mu Yu is indeed his own fault. I will be fair and just in this matter. He Hulong said. Didn't you just say that you don't know what Long Qi did? How come you know that Long Qi used an external force now? Or did you allow Long Qi to use the dragon scale? Mu Yu said meaningfully. He Hulong's expression changed slightly. In order to keep the peace, he had let slip, but he didn't expect that Mu Yu would catch the flaw. He quickly coughed twice and said with a smile, I'm just guessing. After all, the power here is far from what Long Qi can use. Little friend Mu Yu, please don't mind it. The purple electric winged dragon also stood out and said, I've already asked someone to find out what happened just now. It's true that Long Qi overestimated himself and broke the rules of the Rising Dragon League. Since he broke the rules first, then he has to pay the price. However, the Rising Dragon League is used by the Azure Dragon Old Ancestor to test the strength of the younger generation of the Demon Clan. He doesn't want there to be any casualties. Therefore, I hereby announce that no one is allowed to use any external force. Once they do, they will be severely punished. The purple electric winged dragon then deliberately said to Mu Yu, Little friend Mu Yu, please follow the rules of the Rising Dragon League. Don't use any power that doesn't belong to you anymore. Long Kushwang and the Jade Jiao dragon both frowned. They purposely didn't emphasize this point so that their people could use the dragon scale to kill Mu Yu. However, the purple electric winged dragon had already set the rules. How was he going to use the dragon scale next? However, the two of them tactfully didn't raise any questions because this rule was already in place. If they questioned it again, Mu Yu would take the opportunity to cause trouble again. The other primitive demon clan members would also be dissatisfied. Then I still hope that some people will consciously follow the rules. Mu Yu glanced at the Jade Jiao dragon indifferently, then left the Rising Dragon arena with Long Ting. Everyone, disperse. The Rising Dragon League will continue. I hope that everyone will strictly follow the rules and be fair. Also, the judges will not interfere with the competition. What happened just now will not happen again. The purple electric winged dragon said righteously. After the Rising Dragon League continued to restore order, the 4 dragon clan leaders gathered again. Long Kushwang took the lead and said, Winged Dragon, what is the meaning of this? You set the rules in front of so many people. How are we going to deal with Mu Yu next? If we don't rely on the dragon scale, how are we going to defeat Mu Yu? If we don't kill Mu Yu won't be able to protect Long Ting. How are we going to get Long Ting? The Jade Jiao dragon also questioned. The purple electric winged dragon shook his head and said, Please calm down. Didn't you notice just now? Mu Yu's power that is comparable to the tribulation stage came from the sword in his hand. I think that's why he was able to save the 2 demon kings. Jade Jiao Dragon, you have fought with him several times. You should know what level his cultivation is at, right? His cultivation is probably at the 2nd sky of the combination stage. The Jade Jiao Dragon snorted. It couldn't gain the upper hand against Mu Yu over and over again. However, it was still clear about Mu Yu's cultivation. Long Yeli was once defeated by him, but Long Yeli said that at that time, Mu Yu relied on the soul tool on the Demon Island, so this time, we forbade him from using external force, which means he can no longer use that strange power, nor can he use soul tool. Is Long Feiying's strength not enough to seriously injure him? The purple electric winged dragon said with a smile. Is my subordinate Long Qi going to die in vain? Long Keshuang said unwillingly. When we seriously injure Mu Yu in the Rising Dragon League, we'll take the opportunity to kill him. At that time, the Dragon Vine won't be able to protect Long Ting with those from Dawn Valley. The Dragon Vine's bloodline will fall into our hands sooner or later. We'll divide the Dragon Vine's bloodline evenly. Is the bloodline of a true dragon inferior to Long Qi? The purple electric winged dragon said. Long Keshuang snorted coldly. Long Qi is the most outstanding young man of our demonic dragon python clan. I can't accept his death. Even if you can't accept it, you have to accept it now. Everything will wait until we kill Mu Yu. Then we can get our revenge. The black tiger dragon said impatiently. Mu Yu was adjusting his breath. Just now, he resisted the attack of the Jade Flood Dragon. It was still difficult for him. Fortunately, the 4 patriarchs of the Dragon Clan didn't dare to kill him openly because of Long Ting. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to resist the joint attack of 4 crossing tribulation experts. Long Ting was bored to death and asked. The purple electric winged dragon said that we can't rely on external forces. Then, do I still need those formations? Keep them. If the opponent is useless, then forget it. If he is useful, then just kill him. There's no need to be merciful. Mu Yu said without hesitation. If he talked about the principles of competition with the shameless Dragon Clan, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. This wasn't a fair competition to begin with. Since the Dragon Clan was shameless to this extent, Mu Yu didn't want to be polite. Big Earthworm, I told you not to learn array techniques normally. If you could use array techniques after learning array techniques, then it wouldn't be considered an external force. Little Handsome sat on Xiao Shui's lap and kept eating. Xiao Shui knew how to use formations, so he didn't panic at all. After a long time, the old doctor walked in and said, Master True Dragon's competition is about to begin. Master True Dragon, please be careful. The old doctor was very worried. He didn't know Long Ting's true cultivation, but he knew Long Wen Mao's strength very well. Long Wen Mao had always been the #1 spirit severing stage expert since the 4th celestial layer of spirit severing stage. I know, don't worry. I won't lose to a mixed blood dragon, Long Ting said. They once again walked towards the location of the competition. This time, all the primitive demon clansmen were waiting for them outside. No matter if it was Xiao Shui or Mu Yu, both of them had performed amazingly just now. Hence, they were full of anticipation for Long Ting. Chapter 775. The Draconic Cat was a skinny young man. He wore black clothes and looked very light. He stood there as if he would disappear into the darkness in the next moment. The dragon race was known for their speed. That was Mu Yu's first impression of him. When Long Ting walked up, the Draconic Cat's expression didn't change. He just looked at Long Ting coldly. His eyes still had the vertical pupils of a cat. There was a flash of slyness in them. A true dragon should have the strength of a true dragon, the Draconic Cat said coldly. The Draconic Cat said coldly. His voice was very sharp and penetrating. It was very similar to a cat's voice. You'll know soon enough whether I have the strength or not. After transforming, Long Ting looked very arrogant. Although he looked like a rebellious young man, he had the natural temperament of a king. Although he looked a little lazy, his eyes still had a majesty that couldn't be challenged. I would like to see how a true dragon is different from us. The Draconic Cat showed a strange smile. The majesty of Long Ting made him feel pressured at first, but he quickly returned to normal. This pressure was dissolved by the Draconic Cat. You will understand. Long Ting crossed his arms in front of his chest and said coldly. Long Ting and the Draconic Cat were now the focus of the demon race. There were many demon race members watching. Basically, all the demon race members had squeezed into the Rising Dragon arena. The former was a true dragon, an existence similar to the green dragon demon king. The latter was a famous genius of the demon race. 3 years ago, he won first place with his 4th Sky of Spirit Severing stage cultivation. Now, his cultivation was even more unpredictable. I wonder who will win this battle? It's hard to say. Although Lord True Dragon's status is very noble, he is still very young. I don't think he will be a match for the Draconic Cat. That's not for sure. Lord True Dragon will definitely win. Good luck, Lord True Dragon. Good luck, Draconic Cat. The primitive demon race members below the arena had high hopes for Long Ting. The dragon race members kept cheering for the Draconic Cat. As long as the True Dragon was defeated, the primitive demon race members would understand that it was useless to place their hopes on the True Dragon because the dragon race was still undefeatable. Mu Yu stood in the crowd and stared at Dragon Vine, his eyes drifting. I don't know how strong Long Ting is, but the Draconic Cat's speed is terrifying. I'm worried that Long Ting won't be able to keep up, Xiao Shui said seriously. It's up to him. Since he has this kind of status, he should have the strength to match this status. Otherwise, he can only follow me forever. Mu Yu said helplessly. The dragon vine hadn't fully matured yet. Ever since it transformed into a dragon on floating Immortal Island, it had been relying on Mu Yu's protection. At that time, Mu Yu didn't know what the dragon vine was. He only thought of it as a cold demon beast. But in the end, he found out that this guy's background was too unusual. However, since Long Ting was the second true dragon of this world, if he wanted to be recognized by the shifters, then he had to have the strength of a true dragon. Otherwise, he would not be able to conquer the other shifters. Actually, following Mu Yu wasn't a big deal. Mu Yu didn't mind protecting him, but he also hoped that Long Ting would have his own path to walk. Begin! The judge shouted loudly. The Draconic Cat's body suddenly became illusory. It was as if he had become a black shadow on the stage. The moment the judge announced the start of the match, he had already turned into a shadow in the air and flashed towards Long Ting. Only then did Long Ting slowly put down his hand. His eyes were fixed on the shadow. The shadow arrived in an instant. A sharp claw broke through the air and grabbed at Long Ting. Ding! Long Ting's hand met the claw and collided with it. Neither of them had the upper hand in the first exchange. However, this time, the Draconic Cat was only testing the waters. His speed was extremely fast. When his attack didn't land, he immediately retreated. His body quickly circled around Long Ting, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Bang! Ding! Schwa! In just a few breaths, the two had exchanged more than 100 blows. The Draconic Cat's speed was extremely fast, but Long Ting's reaction was also very fast. However, Long Ting seemed to be at a disadvantage in terms of speed. He was constantly on the defensive and didn't have the chance to attack the Draconic Cat. Long Ting had also started to move. He quickly circled around the rising dragon stage. He didn't want to sit there and wait for his death. His body also turned into a shadow and chased after the Draconic Cat in the air. However, his speed was still slower. At some point, the Draconic Cat's claw reached out and forcefully broke through Long Ting's defense. It left a bloody mark on Long Ting's chest. Everyone was sweating for Long Ting because they could all see that Long Ting's speed was no match for the Draconic Cat. If this continued, he would definitely lose. Long Ting doesn't look too good. He's not fast enough. Xiao Shui frowned. That won't happen. A big earthworm won't be defeated by a small cat like this. Little Handsome said nonchalantly. You have that much confidence in him? Xiao Shui asked. This kitten's speed is far worse than mine. I often fight with the big earthworm. Although his speed is not as good as mine and he is always beaten by me on the ground, he will soon learn to be smart. Little Handsome said casually, not worried at all. But Master True Dragon's situation doesn't look good. The old doctor was very anxious. He was worried that Long Ting would be severely injured. He knew that the draconic cat wouldn't go easy on him. "Don't worry. He's just familiarizing himself with the draconic cat's speed and attack methods," Muyu said. Although Long Ting liked to sleep in, Muyu knew how Long Ting and Little Handsome fought. Little Handsome often had the upper hand, and after Long Ting suffered a loss once, he would gradually turn it around. He wouldn't let Little Handsome win a second time. Usually, Little Shuai would always have the upper hand in a fight because Little Shuai was very smart and playful. He could always come up with all sorts of weird ideas. However, this also allowed Long Ting to gain a lot of fighting experience. The primitive devil race people were worried for Long Ting, but the dragon race people were very proud. "Seems like Master True Dragon's reputation is undeserved. If he only has this kind of strength, I'm afraid he won't be able to convince all the devil race people. The draconic cat is a famous genius of our dragon race. Although his true dragon's bloodline is only 80%, why do I feel that he's even more powerful than the so-called true dragon? Seems like some lowly race's wishes are going to be dashed." The surrounding dragon race people started to laugh without restraint. They didn't even try to control their voices. They purposely let the primitive devil race people hear it. The primitive devil race people were burning with anger, but they couldn't do anything about it. Long Ting was in a passive position on the stage. In everyone's opinion, it was only a matter of time before he was defeated. The draconic cat's speed was getting faster and faster. He was the descendant of a mysterious cat and a dragon. He had the agility of a cat. When he saw the wounds on Long Ting's body, he became more and more proud. "If I can defeat the true dragon, then no one will dare to doubt my reputation among the devil race." The draconic cat's heart was burning with passion. Defeating Long Ting was a great honor for him. However, the draconic cat understood one thing. Although Long Ting was defending and had claw marks on his body, these claw marks were only flesh wounds. The draconic cat couldn't defeat Long Ting in a short time. Slowly, the draconic cat realized that something was wrong. At first, he was able to get close to Long Ting and leave wounds on his body. But now, Long Ting seemed to be slowly adjusting. It was getting harder and harder for him to hurt Long Ting. "What's going on?" The draconic cat was annoyed. He couldn't take advantage of Long Ting anymore. However, at this moment, Long Ting, who had been defending all this time, suddenly let out a deep roar. A majestic dragon roar rang out, echoing in the surroundings. At the same time, Long Ting had already clasped his hands together. A strand of azure dragon chi appeared in his palm, gradually condensing into a sphere. "From what I can see, your speed is not fast enough." Long Ting's hands gradually separated, and the condensed dragon essence in his palms elongated into a sword. This sword was completely formed from surging dragon essence. His gaze suddenly focused on a certain moment, and the sword in his hand drew a sharp arc in the air, cleaving apart the phantom with a single slash. Ding! The draconic cat's claws clashed with the sword in Long Ting's hand. There was a crisp sound. The draconic cat's expression changed. He quickly retreated and stood still. What a strong sword chi! The draconic cat's claws emitted a gray light. He was careless and allowed Long Ting's sword chi to enter his body. Now, his entire hand was numb. The sword in Long Ting's hand drew a green light in the air and pointed at the draconic cat. His entire body was like the sword in his hand. Heavenly Sword 9 Guides. Long Ting only knew one move. However, when this move was used to the extreme, it was enough to make people tremble in fear. Shwa! Long Ting jumped up. His sword chi was cold. His speed was not faster than the draconic cat. When the sword arrived, the draconic cat retreated to the left. It was just a simple exchange of blows. He was already at a disadvantage. He did not dare to take the green light head-on. However, Long Ting's sword turned in the air and blocked the draconic cat's escape route. It was as if he knew that the draconic cat would run in that direction. The draconic cat's expression was serious. He stepped in the air. It was as if he stepped on a ripple. His body bent into a strange angle and dodged Long Ting's sword. However, the sword in Long Ting's hand changed again. It was like a shadow following the draconic cat's body. The draconic cat's reaction was predicted by Long Ting. The draconic cat's reaction was already very fast. However, he was still unable to dodge the sword completely. A sword mark appeared on his shoulder. "Damn it!" the draconic cat groaned. His body rolled in the air and turned into his original form. His speed was twice as fast as before. He finally dodged Long Ting's attack. The draconic cat's original form was a black cat. He was 2 meters long. His tail was even longer than his body. It was about 3 meters long. However, his body did not have fur. Instead, it was covered in scales. It looked very strange. After the draconic cat turned into his original form, his speed was even faster than before. His 2 long tails were like sharp whips in the air. Just a light stroke caused the air to heat up. But the draconic cat's tail clashed with Long Ting's sword. There was a sound of metal clashing. The draconic cat's tail was very fast. It only touched Long Ting's sword for a short while. The draconic cat turned into a shadow in the air again. Because of his speed, it was as if he had thousands of tails. They intertwined in the air. In a breath's time, he had attacked Long Ting more than 1,000 times. However, the speed of Long Ting's sword was getting faster and faster. He was always able to block the draconic cat's tail at the most opportune moment. The sword's shadows were like flowers. The people below the stage were watching the show. However, the people on the stage were getting more and more shocked. How is this possible? He clearly could not catch up to my speed. How is it that after I turned into my original form, he could still catch up? The draconic cat was shocked. He thought that after he turned into his original form, he would definitely be able to stop Long Ting from catching up to him. However, Long Ting's response was beyond his imagination. He did not even give him a chance. "I don't even need to turn into my original form to deal with you," Long Ting said calmly. Then, the sword in his hand suddenly stopped at a certain moment. The sword formed by the draconic essence stopped at a certain point. However, a strong sword will came out from Long Ting's sword. The sword will swept across the rising dragon arena. Countless draconic shadows danced in the air and emerged from the sword. Every draconic shadow was like a sharp flying sword. They intertwined in the air and clashed with the draconic cat's tail. The entire rising dragon arena was dazzling. The sword will in Long Ting's hand was getting stronger and stronger. It was like a torrential river that was trying to rush out from the opening. His body became very firm. One man and one sword. He looked so holy and dazzling on the rising dragon arena. The green light enveloped his body. All the shifters were amazed. The draconic cat did not stop attacking. His claws flashed through the air rapidly. His nimble cat tail was also very sharp. He attacked Long Ting from different directions. However, Long Ting's defense was impenetrable. The draconic cat did not have a chance to attack. The draconic cat's attack speed was gradually slowing down. Such rapid attacks were very taxing on him. If he could not end this battle quickly, it was only a matter of time before he lost. Damn it! If this continues, I will lose. The draconic cat's mind raced. In the past, his speed was basically invincible among the shifters of the same level. This was also the reason why he could win. The draconic cat had the agility and powerful attack power of a cat. He was one of the most valued dragon species among the dragon clan. As a member of the Black Tiger Dragon clan, his status was only second to the Black Tiger Dragons. But this time, he encountered Long Ting. At first, Long Ting couldn't keep up with his speed, but not long after, his speed lost its advantage in front of Long Ting. Long Ting was always able to coincidentally know where his next attack would be, and see his movements clearly. I will definitely defeat the true dragon. Chapter 776. There were alchemists in the demon race, but none of them had reached the 6th stage. They didn't have a complete alchemy system like the human race, and the pills they made were only effective for certain demon race members. The same pill might not be effective for other demon race members, so they couldn't promote it. Although there was a rule that forbade the use of external powers, the 4 great dragon races wouldn't really abide by the rules. The draconic cat had already gotten a pill that was specially made for him this year. The pill that the draconic cat took could double his speed. He believed that as long as he was a bit faster, he would be able to defeat Long Ting. If he could defeat a real dragon, then his status in the Azure Dragon Dynasty would definitely rise. Today, he would use Long Ting to prove to everyone that he was stronger than a real dragon. Those who weren't as strong as the draconic cat couldn't see his little trick, but how could Long Ting not see it? Using external powers? Long Ting sneered. Just now, the purple lightning-winged dragon had seriously warned everyone not to use external powers, but the draconic cat didn't care at all. Even the judge, who was stronger than them, didn't say anything and ignored it. Muyu also saw the draconic cat's little trick. Not only him, but anyone who was in the form synthesis stage could see it. However, most of the people who saw it were from the dragon race, so they didn't care. Every dragon race member didn't welcome the arrival of a real dragon. This little mixed-blood dragon is cheating. We will report him. Xiao Shui scolded. Report him? Who will report him to? The judge or the 4 clan leaders? Muyu snorted. The competition wasn't fair, and this was within Muyu's expectations. It would be strange if the draconic cat could follow the rules. The 4 clan leaders would definitely come up with all sorts of excuses. This is too much. Since the Grand Ancestor isn't here, they can do whatever they want. We agreed not to use external powers, but the draconic cat has already used a speed-increasing pill. Is the judge blind? The old doctor shouted angrily. The other primitive demon race members also noticed that the draconic cat's speed was getting faster and faster. When they heard the old doctor's angry shout, they immediately understood what was going on and started to criticize him. Nonsense, Long Wen Mao was hiding his strength just now. How could he have taken a pill? Old doctor, don't talk nonsense. A body integration stage dragon said without blushing. There weren't many people below the stage who could clearly see that the draconic cat had taken the pill. This draconic clan member was arranged here to distort the truth, so that those who couldn't see the truth would not be able to make a judgment. The old doctor could not sit still any longer. He wanted to rush up and reason with the referee, but Muyu held him back. Don't worry, the dragon vine is not that weak, Muyu said calmly. On the rising dragon stage, the draconic cat's speed suddenly increased by more than 2 times. His figure could no longer be seen clearly. His long tail was swinging from all directions, slamming onto the stage. The rumbling sounds were endless, as if the entire rising dragon stage was going to be torn apart. If not for the unique structure of the rising dragon platform, it would have been riddled with holes long ago. At that moment, the draconic cat discovered a gap in Long Ting's defense. It was overjoyed. It adjusted its body in the air and aimed its tail at Long Ting's back, stabbing it mercilessly. I've been waiting for you. Long Ting suddenly turned around. The sword in his hand that was formed by draconic essence forcefully changed its direction in the air. All the sword chi had disappeared, and it slashed towards the draconic cat's tail. The draconic cat was shocked. He thought that this was a gap in Long Ting's defense. He did not expect that this was a gap that Long Ting had purposely revealed to lure him into the trap. He tried to stop himself from falling, wanting to dodge the sword. However, the sword chi was still blooming in the air. Swoosh! The sword chi suddenly shot out and slashed down at lightning speed. Ah! The draconic cat let out a heart-wrenching scream. Then, with a bang, he was kicked off the Rising Dragon stage by Long Ting. Only half of his tail was left on the Rising Dragon stage. It's useless to use external force. If you don't follow the rules, this tail will be a lesson, Long Ting said coldly. The sword chi in Long Ting's hand swept out again, turning the broken tail on the stage into a bloody mist. All the dragon tribesmen's faces froze. When the draconic cat increased his speed, they thought that he would win without a doubt. Who would have thought that before the draconic cat could even use his speed advantage, Long Ting's sword had already cut off his tail that he was so proud of. Without his tail, the draconic cat's arms were cut off. Lord True Dragon has won. Ha! I knew it. No matter how you dragon tribesmen try to cheat, it's useless. Trying to play tricks in front of a true dragon is still too inexperienced. The primitive devil tribesmen cheered excitedly for Long Ting. Long Ting did not rely on any external force, and the draconic cat had broken the rules and lost so thoroughly. This battle was a huge slap to the dragon tribesman's face. Judge, who won this battle? Long Ting looked at the judge, who kept silent about the draconic cat's cheating. The judge was also a dragon tribesman. He wiped his sweat and said, "Yes, Lord True Dragon has won." The result of this battle was so obvious. No matter how biased the judge was, there was no way he could lie through his teeth. Only then did Long Ting walk down the Rising Dragon stage arrogantly. Xiao Shuai and Mu Yu had already walked up to him. "Big Earthworm, you're a bit slow. I thought you would be faster," Xiao Shuai said with disdain. "Little Mouse, if you were the one fighting, you might not even be this fast." Long Ting replied rudely. "Mu Yu and I both won in seconds. You're the slowest." Xiao Shuai snorted. The two of them started to bicker again. Either way, they would feel uncomfortable if they did not bicker. In the distance, the four dragon tribesmen's faces looked terrible. They had been paying attention to this battle. As long as the draconic cat defeated Long Ting, the primitive devil tribesmen's hopes would be destroyed. However, they did not expect that they had underestimated Long Ting's strength. Long Ting's sword skills were indeed extraordinary. Even the strongest draconic cat in the spirit-severing stage was defeated. "The true dragon is indeed powerful," Purple Electric Flying Dragon said thoughtfully. Long Kershuang snorted coldly. "Now that the draconic cat has been defeated, our plan to defeat the true dragon has gone down the drain. I thought that the draconic cat would bring us a surprise. But it's still a bit regretful. What do you think?" Jade Jiao Dragon looked at He Hulong mockingly. He Hulong's face looked terrible. The draconic cat was one of his tribesmen. Not only did the draconic cat fail to complete the mission, half of his tail was also chopped off by Long Ting. He was afraid that his strength would be greatly reduced in the future. To He Hulong, this was equivalent to losing a talented tribesman. Therefore, Jade Jiao Dragon could not wait for the draconic cat to be killed by Long Ting. Now we can only rely on Long Feiying. Even if he can't win, he has to severely injure Mu Yu and not give Mu Yu any chance to breathe. As long as Mu Yu is severely injured, we can secretly attack Mu Yu. Purple Electric Flying Dragon said after pondering for a moment. "Why do we have to go through so much trouble? I think the four of us can just sneak into Dawn Valley and kill Mu Yu tonight," Jade Jiao Dragon said coldly. When Mu Yu came to Dawn Valley, the four of them did not make a move because they had not joined forces. They all had their own ideas about Long Ting, but they did not want to be caught by each other. Now that they had joined forces, there was no need to worry so much. Jade Jiao Dragon believed that with the four of them being in the tribulation stage, it was completely possible for them to sneak into Dawn Valley and capture Mu Yu and Long Ting without anyone knowing. Do you think that the desolate ruins poison is not deep enough? He Hulong sneered. He Hulong, do you really want to talk about this? Jade Jiao Dragon said angrily. He was poisoned by He Hulong back then. If it were not for the fact that they were planning to kill Long Ting, he would not be on the same side as He Hulong. Purple Electric Winged Dragon waved his hand and said, "Our main target now is Long Ting. If we still have internal strife, none of us will succeed." I think Jade Jiao Dragon's suggestion is good. We can go to Dawn Valley tonight and kill Mu Yu directly. I don't believe that he can do anything when the four of us are in the tribulation stage. Long Kershuang said. We've already discussed this last time. Besides, didn't you see the strength that Mu Yu showed today? His sword can unleash the strength of a tribulation stage cultivator. Jade Jiao Dragon, are you sure you can take him down without anyone knowing? Purple Electric Winged Dragon asked. That's right. Someone was even scared away by an ordinary reed. He Hulong was well aware of what had happened today. Jade Jiao Dragon was traumatized by the reeds in the swamp of the desolate ruins. Just now, Mu Yu took advantage of this to embarrass Jade Jiao Dragon in front of everyone. Jade Jiao Dragon held back his anger and said, "If you didn't stop me, he would have died in my hands. But you can't kill him without anyone knowing. If you want to kill him, you will alert everyone in Dawn Valley. What excuse will you use to deal with Azure Dragon Patriarch?" Purple Electric Winged Dragon said sternly. "If you don't dare, Jade Jiao Dragon and I will do it ourselves," Long Kershuang said with a vicious expression. "I don't mind letting Azure Dragon Patriarch vent his anger on the two of you. But you have to understand that Azure Dragon Patriarch only recognizes the true dragon, not us with impure bloodlines. It's fine if Mu Yu dies in your hands, but who among us dares to touch the true dragon? Once the true dragon goes missing, Azure Dragon Patriarch will find out that it was you who did it. He won't allow you to do such a thing when it comes to the true dragon. He might even kill you." He Hulong said coldly. "Humph, we're in the same boat. You won't be able to get away from this," Jade Jiao Dragon retorted. Azure Dragon Patriarch cared a lot about the true dragon. False dragons like them were not favored by Azure Dragon. If something happened to the true dragon, no one would be able to bear Azure Dragon Patriarch's anger. They did not want to be suspected. Long Kershuang said, "If that's the case, why don't we just do it straight away?" Straight away? Kill Mu Yu, kill Long Ting, kill everyone in the Valley of Dawn, kill all the witnesses, and make sure the dead tell no tales. When the time comes, Patriarch Azure Dragon won't be able to investigate this matter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.